Hey, I've got a question for everybody. When they woke up today, did you expect to fight just the most fascist squirrel in existence? Because I sure didn't.
I was not expecting to fight the world's most fascist squirrel, but that's why I wouldn't qualify to be the Kamen Rider. But that's what I'm not here to do. Not what I'm here to do. Boy, that was an opening.
You know what else? You know what else I didn't expect?
What did you not expect?
That we'd get scammed out of a mermaid. Because that's not a real mermaid.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of saw it coming, but the one thing that I did expect was...
I probably should have figured.
...for this to be another episode of Long Time Watcher, First Time Writer. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. It is so happy. It's so nice, so happy, so nice to see you again. I am, as always, your longtime watcher, King Fats 95th, joined, as always, by my wonderful, wonderful longtime writers. I think I did that entirely backwards, but we're going to keep it. Action Shakespeare.
It's been a long time.
B-Drops.
Hello.
And the Magical Whale Gopher.
Hello.
It's the brain, she is the frazzled. Because we've got some real good episodes of Kamen Rider coming right at you. We are going to be focusing on Kamen Riders episode 22 and 23. Monstrous Merman Amazonia and Soaring Monster Flying Squirrelder.
God.
Yeah.
I like how you talk about your brain with a she/her pronoun like it's a ship.
It is a ship. My brain is a ship that pilots the meat body. That doesn't make any sense.
Wait.
It holds
ships on ships?
Ships on ships.
1/4 of
yeah.
600 IQ.
Hey, yo, those two ships doing it?
Well, with 600 IQ...
This is our worst opening yet, and by worst,
right in
I
the
mean
boat.
this is going
All right,
great.
let's cut it. Let's start
wonderful.
again.
Do you want to start again?
Absolutely not.
I kind of don't either. I want to bring this dumbass energy into the episode.
Like ships in the sea, we keep moving forward.
Yeah, we move
go.
ever onward.
So
which
if you missed it the first time, this is a podcast that's supposed to be about Kamen Rider.
It's supposed to be about Kamen Rider. God only knows what it's about at this point. There's
not.
only one thing I think we can all agree that it's about, and that is the death count with B-Drops. Take it away.
Speaking of dumbassery,
Yeah.
it is my turn to grovel before you in begness of your forgiveness and understanding. So, while plugging in and accounting for all of the numbers from last time, I found out I made a grave error at some point in my documents, so the numbers are skewed. So please allow me to go over the death counts from the last 2 episodes, and then recount what the updated totals for everyone are, so we're cleaning the slate and we're getting everything properly established. Not everything was messed up, but a couple of the numbers, particularly the Kamen Rider numbers, were a little skewed. Again, I apologize. Bugs can't do math, and I'm doing my best.
We all apologize. This is a podcast of people who are truly big of heart and dumb of ass, and so we apologize, and we beg your forgiveness and your patience.
No
Gomen
thoughts, head empty, Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kamen Rider stole our IQ.
Mari stole our IQ.
That's how it happened.
Mari never had any to begin with.
That's why she stole ours.
Where did she put it?
She dropped it.
Oh god.
Wait,
It's
where?
it's the take the bike and run of fucking brain cells.
At least
At least use it.
Incredible. So for episode 20, we had another episode wherein our Kamen Rider didn't actually kill anybody. And we had only one shocker kill in the form of Yoshi P, who got frightened off the mountain, poor guy.
No, that was Koizumi.
No, Koizumi was the other guy, right?
Yeah, Koizumi is the one who dies. Yoshi
Oh,
P is
you're
the
right.
one who
Koizumi's
lives.
the one who died. Sorry, Yoshi P is the love interest. My bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Misremembered the names. But what is particularly notable about episode 20 is, so up until this point, the miscellaneous death count has been largely dominated by Taki, who is aiding Kamen Rider in battle. Tachibana said, "I'm tired of playing second fiddle to this guy," and blew up a base and immediately tripled the miscellaneous kill count.
Hell yeah, Tajibana.
So that's incredible. He got a total 8 kills with that.
Nice.
For 9 kills in episode 20. In episode 21, Hayato decided he also was not having any of it and blew up a base himself, along with a few other kills, along with, the main enemy Mothstar. He got a total of 11 kills.
That actually...
Shock...
Go ahead.
Sorry?
I was going to say, that brings up a good question. Are we counting Mothstar as having died twice?
I am not.
Or just the one? Okay, just the...
Just the one.
Because the
They
first
only
time
went
he
to a
turns into a
cocoon.
Charlie Brown.
Yes. Shocker got 1 kill in episode 21 by enforcing Shocker Law once again.
For
We had
once.
For once. I enjoy Shocker Law.
I appreciate
So that gives
Shocker
us a total of 12 kills. So recounting everything, and this is going to include Hongo's kills as well, just to get every number established. So Hongo, from his last appearance in episode 14, came out with a total of 52 kills.
Woo! All by himself.
All by himself. Hayato, in the 8 episodes he's been here, has accumulated a not remotely insignificant 33 kills.
Ooh.
Dang.
Damn,
So this-
okay.
That's
This
impressive.
leaves me with some really good news regarding the kill count, as I had the numbers mixed up last time. We were worried the Kamen Rider team was falling behind. Turns out, Team Kamen Rider is up to 85 total kills.
Hell
with
yeah.
both those put together, which is a significantly higher number. Again, I do apologize for the errors in recording on my part. So that also leaves us now with Shocker kills at 90.
Okay.
So we're
okay.
very, very close to catching up. And as I said, miscellaneous kills got immediately tripled because Tachibana just went off. So miscellaneous kills is now at 12,
Oh, wow.
with a total of 187 deaths as of episode 21.
Jesus fuck.
Oh, almost said that. We've almost hit that 10 deaths an episode
Yeah.
average.
We're like just shy.
So short. We'll see by episode 30 though.
Yeah. We
I
had
want
big
to-
aspirations, and who knows, they might end up getting met. Cause,
Very much.
Because Hayato went off in these
He
next 2
absolutely-
episodes.
Yeah.
He heard us.
Sure did. He did.
I'm really, really excited to see where we're going to end up numerically after these episodes. And once again, I do apologize profusely for my bug brain.
Well, even if everyone out there in the podcast listening universe doesn't forgive you for whatever reason, we forgive you, B.
That's very
This
kind of
is
you.
true.
I don't know if I deserve it, but
What
I'm
do you
grateful
mean?
nonetheless.
Your
Yes, you
service
do.
and professionalism are recognized, B.
Yeah.
My what and my what?
Your service
Yes.
and your professionalism.
I'm not sure I understand these words.
It's okay, we understand.
Give me a second.
Oh, no, don't Google these for me. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
The service is defined as the actions of helping or doing work for someone. I don't remember what the other word was, so we'll leave
That's
it at that.
good, that's fine.
We're
Probably
doing
for the
great.
best.
What happened to us this anyway?
We say this all the time.
Yeah, I
say
feel
this
like
all the time.
every episode you're asking what happened to us. I think we're just like this, B.
I think we're getting worse, though.
We might be.
We might be getting worse.
We're becoming
Kamen
more unhinged. To be
And I
fair, we are
think-
also being egged on
Yeah.
by the audience, I feel, just a little bit.
A little bit.
Please, if this is not the signal you're giving us, you need to tell us explicitly, because I don't know where we're going if
Yeah.
we continue to see this as a challenge.
If we do, however, I think it'd be very funny just to do an episode 1 versus episode, 40 something? When
Yeah.
we're all done with it? And
Do a
just
comparison and see how
just
buck
see
wild.
how we've evolved.
Oh god.
And be disappointed? Question mark?
My
Question mark.
shame is immeasurable. I'm already embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed, B. Embrace it. Embrace the fact that we're all a bunch of fucking weirdos and freaks.
I'm not at your level yet.
You
You said
gotta-
yet?
Yes,
Yeah.
I will teach you. I'll train you. Soon,
Oh, God.
one day you'll become as powerful as me.
Oh no.
Sounds dope.
Wait,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
no.
Well, power levels, like, oh dang, I don't know, I assume you can open up jars.
I want to see Dark B drops.
I also, oh my god, when is Dark B Drops going to debut in Seoul?
I don't.
With their new stable, the First Time Writer podcast.
Oh God.
Oh Lord.
I want to see it. I
I'll
want to
think
see him
about it.
debut at the pay-per-view.
Oh God.
You don't debut at
I mean-
pay-per-views.
Some people have.
You know,
And then they do backflips that don't work.
Yeah.
we already got Dark B drops his name of Bead Prox.
Oh God.
I was gonna go with Lord Drops, but yeah,
Well,
we'd also do Beat
Lord
Procs.
props.
Lord
What a callback.
Drops.
Drops.
I gotta put you in Metopia as like a king.
That would be so good. We're getting off track already.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways.
At
Not
record
even a
pace.
sentence in.
We're talking about Kamen Rider, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are. We're specifically
Are
talking
we?
about the Suspicious Merman Amazonia. It's Kamen Rider Season 1, Episode 22. Air date August 28th, 1971. So we're still having a little bit of summer fun at the beach.
We
Yeah.
really are. More than ever.
Once again, the Kamen Rider Wiki has failed me and will continue to fail me. There is no plot. There's only a single sentence synopsis, which is Amazonia captures swimmers training for the next Olympics. At this point, I should just be filling it in myself, but I don't have that kind of time. So we're just going to go ahead and get into it.
Just throw your synopses in our thing, and we'll do it later.
Yeah, send us your fan-made synopses by
Or
watching
that.
episodes ahead of us.
That-
No,
That'd
actually,
That'd be nice.
yeah, it would be nice.
Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if people were up to do it, but this is
Yeah.
not a demand.
Obviously, it's barely even a request. It's
It's-
mostly a joke. You know what else is a joke? Our work ethic. Let's get into it. So
You
just
know, it
like
wasn't
that.
a joke, though.
What wasn't a joke?
How beautiful these sets were!
Yeah,
Oh my god, the on-location film.
we had some
Yeah.
great on-location shots for this episode, but we're getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit because we gotta get to the start of the episode, which
Oh, yeah.
as that little one sentence synopsis kind of mets out for you. It's actually interesting. I was thinking about this because the episode descriptions, as you find them like online and on Verve and Chat Factory and all of that, and like the synopsis and everything, they make it seem like the main premise of the episode is going to be Amazonia kidnapping Olympic swimmers, but it's just the one scene, isn't it?
It really is just the opening
Yeah.
scene,
It's
and the
just
rest
the
is in
opening
ocean.
scene, yeah, and
Also,
then the
wait.
rest of it is just
They were Olympic swimmers?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
One of them. Well,
The-
presumably both of them, but they didn't really.
It's like
go
that
think
looked
this
like
is-
a
second one.
community pool.
No,
I mean,
I
sure.
mean it might have been a community pool, but yeah, they were training for the Olympics.
I'm realizing because I think in the next episode, not to
Mhm.
get too far ahead of ourselves, but in the next episode they had that banner for the Tokyo
Yeah.
or
For the Sapporo
Whatever
Olympics,
Olympics.
in '72.
Sapporo Olympics in '72. So it was just like they were topical and seasonal.
Yeah,
Mm.
they were.
So far, they've been very good about that. Like, in an earlier episode, just back in our last set of beach episodes, they did have a date listed, which was the airing date of that episode.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very
God,
good about
yeah.
the kind of real world versus Kamen Rider world continuity. Like almost to the point where like you could pretend that like it's that stuff is actually happening somewhere out there, and you're just missing it.
Kamen Rider is literally just has a problem every week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a rough life, but I get you, man.
It's time for your weekly shocker meeting.
Kamen Rider, it's 4 a.m. Time for your weekly shocker attack. Yes, honey. Yeah, so at the very beginning of the episode, we see some Olympic swimmers. They're getting ready. They're getting prepared. They're training for the Olympics. One of them is running laps when like a strange bubbling starts in the water, and when it stops, the swimmer has disappeared without a trace. Nobody knows where he's gone. Nobody is able to find him, and he is also, I don't think, ever seen again for the rest of the episode.
Nope.
So that dude's dead.
As Disco,
Yep.
but not back then.
Not back then.
Disco's
no.
alive and well, and it's part of our background music.
Hell
for
yeah,
this
it is.
episode.
So after that event, we get Taki in the drip. Honestly, not Taki. I'm sorry, Hayato.
Oh, yeah, Hayato.
Yeah.
Hayato in
A
the
unique
drip.
outfit for once. It's
Yes.
been a little while since he's worn something different. He kind of has cartoon character closet.
A little bit,
little
yeah.
bit.
I mean, to be fair, I guess like
His iconic state.
Hongo also had that, but in like a more reasonable form, if that makes sense.
I could assume for Hongo's case that it was like he had a few sets of suits that
Right.
he would wear to his job because he's a professor,
Mm-hmm.
or a scientist.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Hayato just wears the same look over and over again.
Yeah, just the same tan jumpsuit.
We just always catch him. That's the day of the week that he wears his tan jumpsuit.
Yeah.
How embarrassing.
He wears things every other day of the week, but we only ever get the episodes in Shocker Attacks when he's wearing it.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Costuming is expensive. It's actually it's funny though that we bring this up because this is something that I was talking with a friend of ours about, because I'm showing them one of the newer Kamen Rider seasons. And it was something that came up because, just minor spoilers for that season, Kamen Rider O's, the Kamen Rider and protagonist of that season is canonically homeless. And
Oh.
and also has a new outfit every episode.
Wait, what?
Well, you know.
Yeah, it's like, how is this dude affording clothes when he
Well-
is A, canonically homeless, and B, canonically, like, works part-time odd jobs in order to get money to, like, survive and find a
He
place
spends
to
it all
stay
on
for the night.
clothes.
Yeah, apparently, he spends it all on the drip.
How is he transporting all these clothes?
Yeah, right? It doesn't make
It's him
any,
in
like,
his little box.
like a new outfit
well, no, see,
every
see,
episode.
he eats the other outfit.
He just eats. It's where I get my sustenance from. Cause yeah, it isn't until like episode 8 or 9 that he gets any form of like permanent living space. And every, like, starting from episode 1 up until like episode 8 or 9, when he gets like a permanent home of some kind, new outfit every single episode. Or just about. It's like, where is he storing this stuff? How is he affording
stomach.
it? Yeah, obviously it stays in old Mr. Tum Tum. Anyway,
Gotta get that fiber.
yeah. Fucking stupid, this dumbass joke. Stupid ass podcast host. I hate this place.
Anyway, speaking of the new clothes,
Speaking of new
Hayato's
clothes,
got some. We went on that
Hayato's-
entire tangent because he has a new outfit.
yeah,
He
Hayato
has a really nice, like, white outfit.
it's real nice.
It cuts a similar silhouette to what he had before,
Mhm.
but it's still really good and stylish.
Yeah.
He's got like a matching hat, and he's got like a single riding glove.
That's
he's
multicolored
got-
too.
Mhm.
It's multicolored too, and he's got the shades on top of the hat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Just
all
a-
around a really. I mean, this whole episode really, it's just chock-a-block full of good fits, and it just kind of made me think of what some of our listeners were talking about as they were checking out some of the episodes. There was a lot of talk about these episodes being fashion goals, and this is one of those episodes that is definitely fashion goals. We have a lot of real good outfits.
Yeah, everybody is looking cute and looking handsome.
Yeah.
Like not a single bad look in the bunch, and I'm including Goro.
Yeah, Goro had some good kid fits. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
He was freed from the curse of boy shorts overalls.
Yeah, they must have heard you complain of the
Yeah,
all
they
the
heard
sad
me.
kids.
They heard
They're
my
like, "Oh."
voice in the souls of those children,
Oh
and
god,
their
we gotta get
miserable,
some
miserable
reshoots.
faces.
Goro's living his life.
Yeah, he is. Girls out here doing it. These 2 episodes too. Love that kid. Can't wait to talk about him more. But let's maybe get anywhere in the synopsis, and then we can.
Of course.
So yes, Hayato shows up to the pool. He, as you might expect, surmises that Shocker is the one behind the kidnapping, but he is not quite sure how. And then we cut to Taki, who is off somewhere diving with another woman who he explains is a coworker of his from the FBI. They are off doing some FBI, diving exploration stuff. I assume they are looking for the Shocker base in this episode, which, spoilers, is underwater. But I don't think they ever actually specify what they're looking for. Did anyone recall seeing anything like that? Because I don't.
No, yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so
Oh, they were looking for the source of a mysterious sound.
Oh. Yes.
So doesn't it? Okay, yeah.
Following a lead.
Following a lead. That makes sense. So yeah, we cut to Taki and this coworker who we never get a name for.
Nope.
No, that was a little annoying when having to write out the synopsis.
It's cool. I didn't care.
Yeah, honestly,
While watching it, didn't really care.
yeah.
I think we were all too
sorry,
angry
lady,
about how it's just not his wife yet again.
Yeah, that is the important thing, is whoever this woman is, she's some sort of expert from the FBI, she is a coworker of his, she is not his wife.
I mean, it's not like they don't have, like, any kind of dynamic that could be construed as romantic.
No,
but it's just like,
it's so weird.
We really have not seen Taki's wife in a very long time,
It's
and
like
we're worried
they
about her.
retconned it out of existence. It's like the marriage didn't ever actually happen.
I wonder if they might have either forgotten or just decided to write it out because, I don't know, people are chasing him. Like, Mari's always chasing his tail. Like, are they trying to, like...
And he certainly acts
make
like
that
he's
a
a young,
possibility?
eligible bachelor. Except for... Wait, no, because they reference his wife in an episode that Hayato's in.
No, yeah, they do. It's like one of the first things that they learn about him.
I do remember Tachibana explicitly, like, in the first episode, Hayato appears, like, Taki's hanging out with the girls, being all living up the bachelor life, quotation marks, and Taki's like,
right, because they're getting patched
ladies,
up.
he's super married, and they were like, oh, ew, anyway.
Yeah, I don't
They
understand.
kind of forgot about that.
They really
Since
did.
then. Mari had a good think and said, "Nah, I'll still hit it."
Yeah, Mario doesn't care.
I'm trying to do some close-up analysis, and in the diving scene, I do not see his wedding ring. But the other nameless person
enhance
has a wedding ring.
Oh.
To be fair, like, it in a realistic context, not that I expect them to always, like, maintain that part of costume, especially since Taki is wearing gloves 90% of the time.
That's very fair.
But I don't know if I'd want to wear my wedding band while scuba diving.
That's fair.
Personally.
No, you shouldn't.
You probably
Seems like a
shouldn't,
great
yeah.
way to lose it.
Yeah, I think someone in my family lost theirs while surfing, so...
There you go.
Just, yeah. But I'll still use that as the headcanon of his wife no longer exists.
Oh, dear.
She got Thanos snapped out of existence. Rest in peace, Taki's wife.
Nah, he's just cheating.
You probably...
Well, there's two outcomes here.
None of them are good.
Nope.
Either his wife doesn't exist anymore, never existed, or he's just cheating.
There are many other alternate...
There's outcomes.
Yeah,
there are a
there's
bunch of other...
plenty, actually, yeah.
There are plenty.
He hasn't really... He truly has not been untoward towards any woman. Like, it's...
Look, the
We'll
point
be real
the
here.
point is, it's more fun to go with the option where Taki is a hoe than to go with the tragic option. So that's what I'm going with.
Sure
I'm going
acts
with
like one
Taki's a hoe.
sometimes.
I'd still like to
dresses
think it's
like
a
one.
nice polyamorous relationship if Taki ever wanted to.
I mean, it's
That'd
nice.
be ideal.
It would be ideal, wouldn't it? But it's also Japan in the 70s, so...
But you know what?
Just call that swinging.
Yeah.
You know who has never had to think about this?
The
Right.
young girl Maki and her older brother who's teaching her how to swim nearby.
Exactly.
Gosh.
What a good segue. We're learning. We're
And
evolving.
he's
We're
such a
becoming
good
more
swimmer.
powerful. Yes, so there's
Not
this,
Olympic level, but we'll take him anyway.
yeah, we'll say, I mean, he's good enough. So yeah, nice, handsome, muscular older brother is here with his cute, adorable younger sister to teach her how to swim. He has decided to choose the least opportune area to do so, because this place is rocky as shit, and one wrong dive and you will just kind of die. But
Good place to learn.
yeah, great place to learn how to swim. So he dives in. He
I
swims.
gotta take you here because they drained the pool because of the monster
Yeah,
attacks.
yeah, that's
That's the only way to go.
that's the only way. Like, it's here or nothing, kid. What do you want? So he swims out into the ocean a bit. And he's like, all right, come on out to me, Maki. Come swim to me. And as she is, I am going to say, getting herself prepared, I think what she was doing was very smart. Because she was taking some of that ocean water and she was splashing it on her arms and her legs and her chest so she could get acclimated to the temperature before she dived in. And that's smart, especially
really
when you're
smart
somewhere
kid.
as big and
Yeah.
dangerous as the ocean. But doesn't matter, because in that time while she is getting prepared, her other brother is kidnapped by our merman Amazonia, and we get to see him for the first time. It's a good costume, but they lied to us.
Yeah,
And that
this is
the
where I
problem.
wrote down I was promised a merman.
Okay, to be fair, that is a translation thing.
Yeah,
Like
I know.
the Japanese title is Kai Kyojin and not like mermaid.
Ningo.
Yeah, Kai Kyojin. It's just disappointing, you know?
I got to
I'm
admit, like I
disappointed in
was
the
also hoping to
translation.
see a merman after the translation, and I was hoping maybe they called him that for a reason.
Is there a more accurate translation than merman?
Probably like Fishman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's...
He's a creature from the Black Lagoon.
It's definitely
So-
a
yeah.
fish man,
Yeah,
but not
it's...
a man-fish.
Again, I can't be
No.
too upset because this is a good-ass suit. This is a pretty dope fishman suit. But I wanted a merman.
I did want a beautiful fascist merman.
Beautiful fascist merman. A beautiful, strong, proud, Aryan fascist merman.
Shut up. Ugh.
Oh, Arian from The Little Mermaid.
This podcast is over.
Oh, we finally did it.
Shortest
I
one yet,
wanna
bye
be
folks.
where
Wrap
the
it up. We're
people are.
done.
Yeah, half an hour episode.
Yep. It's the original...
Just watch the rest of the episodes yourselves. We weren't going to talk about them.
Yeah.
Original episode length. Finally.
We finally did it. We finally did an episode that was less than 3 hours. Goodbye, everybody.
God.
Uh,
So after getting abducted and not being a mermaid,
yeah. So
Merman,
unfortunately, the little brother gets, our older brother gets kidnapped, and we cut to the motocross gang. Why do they call them the motocross gang and not the moto club gang? Whatever. It's it's Tajibana
You made them
and the
sound
girls.
way cooler.
Yeah, it's the motocross gang.
Like this is some
Extreme.
kind of like late 90s, early 2000s Disney Channel original movie.
Fuck, you're right. It's yeah.
Let's go,
Holy
girls.
shit.
Bum, bum, ba-na-na-na-na.
Thank you.
Anyway, we
No,
got,
get out of here. Get out of here. I know what you're doing. You
We
get
have
the
to
fuck
keep
outta here.
going.
Okay, keep going.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best, B. There's so much bullshit I have to wade through.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, it's Goro, it's Mari, it's Yuri, and I think it is Hiromi.
Yeah, we got it.
I almost
Yeah.
forgot her name.
Every second you aren't thinking about her name, it just
It's
trickles
fading away. Yeah, it's like a ghost.
But this is a good example of what I thought was just a beautiful scene. I think we
Yeah.
all had the reaction of just like, damn, I actually want to be there.
Yeah, it was
Really
just
wanna be
they're
there.
at this like nice little like beach pool combination play thing. They're in just like this little shallow pool that's got like a water slide connected to it. It looked really nice
Yeah.
and fun.
Like, I mean, like, I probably would have thought it even regardless, but boy, it was really hitting hard with the with the
Yeah.
1.5 years of quarantine thing.
Yep,
Of just
absolutely.
seeing this beautiful, gorgeous water park attached to a beach, and just going like, oh my god, I would kill to be there.
Yeah,
When's the last time I felt the sun? Like, oh.
yeah. I literally, I don't think I have actually visited a water park since I worked at one, and that was in 2013. So I would love to go to a water park again.
The yearning,
Yeah,
I never thought I'd yearn to go outside. What is this?
right?
right?
You know, they always say you don't know what you got until it's gone. But,
And-
you know, I didn't think they'd find a way to take outside from me, but here the fuck we are.
I know, right? Human contact. What the fuck?
Yeah. You take some things for granted.
Lesson learned. Sorry, God.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry. You need to come down here and fight me.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Hell yeah.
You know,
Hell yeah, B-drops.
I don't have a persona.
join.
I'm sorry. I can't. I gotta sit this one out.
Don't worry, Shakes. We can get you a persona. It'll be fine.
I only got a Sona cis octopus.
That's probably going to be your persona then, if we're going to be honest.
Oh man, I'm fucked.
No, you were girls, so
Yeah.
you have to get like a weirdly sexy one.
Yeah,
Well,
that's...
I mean,
I was gonna
look,
say.
we can tweak it.
Shakes' persona boss fight's going to be real horny.
It's
Yeah.
just that one. It's just
what
that
about
one
yours?
Hololive
Oh,
girl.
God.
Yeah.
You leave Ina out of this.
Ina?
That's the
was-
Hololive girl. Or
Was it
one of
Ina?
them.
I thought it was Callie, right? No, that was
No,
that's the other-
Callie's the
that's
Reaper.
Shit.
I can't get
don't
my
know.
fucking anime girls straight.
I don't know anything.
That's fine. Yeah, what I know
Water
is that
park.
yeah, I was gonna say what I know is that none of this has anything to do with what we were talking about. So yeah, it's we got Goro, we got Yuri, we got Hiromi, we got Mari, we got Tachibana, which I did want to bring up. This is like the third or fourth episode. No, yes.
Hmm?
I'm trying to think.
Complete the thought.
I don't know exactly how many episodes she's been missing, but specifically Michi, the one writer girl with motorcycle experience, she hasn't been showing up a lot. I think she's in episode 20, but
I think she's in 21, but not. Oh wait, no. Now I'm confused. She might be in.
It's been sporadic.
I
yeah,
suddenly don't remember. I could have sworn she was in those episodes, but yeah, I understand. We're down one of the new girls quite a lot these days.
it's very interesting. It almost seems like maybe they had other like contractual obligations, and so they couldn't always be there to film or something. It's just it is interesting. I actually remember from re-listening to the previous episode, you know, Shakes had mentioned it was almost like we kind of have a rotating cast with the writer girls, and it's just, I guess it's kind of not the dynamic I was expecting when they were first introduced.
Yeah, I agree. I really did think there would be sort of like a unit, but
Right.
they really do split up a lot, usually in twos, but occasionally with other characters. Like they'll go with Tachibana or Goro a lot.
Yeah, that is the one thing I've noticed is it's, even though, you know, like Shake said, it can kind of be a rotating cast, it usually tends to be Mari and Yuri, and then either like plus or minus the addition of Goro that we get. And then like every now and again Hiromi might show up, and then like Michi shows up, but like very rarely.
Hiromi hasn't been doing too much, but I feel like she's been around a lot
Yes.
lately.
Hiromi
can
has
relate
been
to
in
that.
a lot of episodes.
And like ever since it, probably the most prevalent she's been here since Ruriko left.
Mhm. It's interesting. It's I wonder if maybe they're still just kind of trying to get it, because it seems like they had an idea as to what they wanted to do with these girls, but I guess maybe then they weren't quite sure about how to implement it or something. I don't know. It definitely kind of
Maybe.
feels like some of the, feeling out process that we've had in earlier episodes, where they're not quite sure how they want to do a specific thing yet.
Yeah, I'm never entirely sure where they sit. They're just kind of here a lot of the time, but I very much feel like the intention is that they want to have some side characters
Mm-hmm.
who have a skill set that makes them potentially useful to the current conflict with Shocker in any given episode. So while they aren't as aggressive or confident as Kamen Rider, they're still the wacky sidekicks that can still get stuff done, but that really doesn't seem to be very consistent. And even when they do get to fight, like in our last set of episodes, they kind of are pretty incompetent and ineffective. They're just here to be pretty ladies a lot of the time.
It's just, I feel like with side characters as a whole, they've never been quite sure what they wanted to do with them. Because I feel like we had this issue as well with maybe not so much Rukio, but like Hiromi and Shiro back when back in the Hongo episodes. It was like, I mean, there was a good couple of episodes where Shiro just wasn't even there. There were episodes where Shiro showed up, but he didn't have any lines, or he only had one line. Like Shiro shows up for like a episode or two, I think, Shiro in the Hayato era, and now he's just like gone for some reason. It's very strange.
I feel bad that they never take him on their vacations, and I know more than likely it's not that they just like don't feel like it, because like you said, we're still missing like a writer girl too, so maybe the actor has other obligations or something, but in universe it just feels a little strange that he is suddenly just very absent.
Yeah, he's just like...
What? Yeah, I never thought about that.
We don't even see him at the Moto Club either. Like,
yeah,
it
no,
almost
I haven't
seems
seen
like
him in ages.
Yeah, he's just been gone.
Maybe he
that
quit.
actor is just not. Yeah, I was just gonna say, do you think that actor is even on
Good
the show
for him.
anymore?
That's a good
I
question.
mean, that's rough.
Well, I'm talking about, like, I don't know what happened in the real world, but maybe the in-universe explanation is just like, well, we closed down his restaurant, so...
Yeah, maybe Shiro just went and got another job somewhere else.
So he's like,
But I could have sworn he was
Could I
working.
mention that?
I could have sworn he was working at the motocross club initially, though.
Initially, I think he was.
I do remember him being in that first Hayato episode
he's in
because
the
he
first
got along
two
with the
Hayato
he got along
episodes.
with the writer girls a lot better than Tachibana did, and he was salty about it.
Yeah. Because that's also where we get the great burn about the cyborg janitor.
oh yeah.
Yeah. What the hell? Where's Shiro? I demand
wait,
answers. What happened to my boy?
I don't know.
What happened to
We
my
abandoned
boy?
our boy.
Oh,
There's so many girl bosses here for him to try to impress.
I know, right? You could
Empowered
make
girl
instant
bosses.
comedy about that.
Yeah.
They're not gonna do this, but I really hope it shows up, and like 50 episodes later, he comes back with some sort of like revelation. Maybe he swapped sides, and they need to like fight him out of it because he's halfway through Shockification, and then he joins a team again or something. It'd be so cool.
That would be cool, yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
Probably
but-
not.
That'd be too cool for sure. Let's be real. I feel like the entire consumed Shiro is that he's lame.
A little bit. As much
And I
as
love
all
him
of them.
for it.
Yeah.
But he is
Yeah.
the guy who sucks.
He's like all the characters I've ever written.
He's the Johnny Sasaki of the group.
Maybe not that bad.
Well, yeah. Probably not quite that bad, but
He's not that stinky.
certainly not. I should hope not, Shiro.
Moving
he's-
away from references we aren't
he's-
explaining within
he's
the
one-
podcast
He's
that people
one bad
might not
day
get.
away. Anyways, yeah. Right. You're
Watch the Metal Gear Solid VODs on
No.
Never mind, don't do it.
Don't do it.
If you do it, Shakes is gonna find you and hurt you. Where were we? Oh yeah, we were talking about this like 2-second long scene of the writer girls playing at the water park.
And
We're
Taki
so
wakes
enamored.
up. Taki wakes up, checks his
Tachibana.
watch. And,
Tachibana.
oh yes, Tachibana. Well, he's talking about Taki, so
Does he
Yeah.
mention Taki at all?
Mari does.
Mari does, yes, yeah. Because
Yes.
Mari is pouting. Mari's not in a good mood. Because Taki went off with another girl. Harumph.
And like well it's funny to pick at, and I know I did when we were initially watching it. She does explain that the reason she's upset is because he did promise to teach her how to like scuba dive.
I don't.
That's a little fucked up, Taki, honestly.
But also,
I just don't.
FBI agent doing FBI stuff. You gotta.
Yeah, I have a feeling that is not necessarily the reason why Mari was upset. I think she just kind of tacked it on so that way she could attempt to have an excuse. I think she's just jealous.
Did they come to the
I don't think they're
together?
mutually exclusive.
That is a good question, yeah, because I know in the next episode they do explicitly say that, like, the writer girls go on writer girl goes on vacation and that Taki comes with because he has FBI stuff to do. But I feel like in this one it might have just been that, like, Taki and them were at the same place at the same time because Taki had FBI shit to do.
What a coincidence.
And it immediately blew off Mari, as is the custom.
Well, I mean, because he was at work. That's the other thing.
No, I like, it's reasonable. I also am fully ready to accept that he never actually promised it to her, but Mari just projected that onto him.
I was gonna say,
he was like, yeah, later. He says, going to do his actual job for the government.
Yeah. It's very similar to what I was talking about with the situation with Hayato back in the Kani Bubbler episode, where there is a lot of assumption that Taki is going to join the writer girls on certain activities without us ever seeing or hearing his, like, express consent that he is going to.
I didn't know how much that was the case and how much of it was the, like, superhero syndrome thing wherein Taki hasn't told everybody else that he's an FBI agent because he can't, he's undercover. So basically he ends up blowing a lot of people off and he can't tell them why.
I guess that might be. I'm trying to think now of if they mentioned that back in the Kani Bubbler episode. I'm trying to remember if they mentioned that that Sanada was Taki's senpai in the FBI, or if they just referred to him as Taki's senpai. Yeah,
I think they just called him senpai.
Yeah, you do bring up a good point, B. It could just be that superhero syndrome of, like, none of them actually know that Taki is an FBI agent, except for maybe Tachibana.
I mean, granted, yeah, his senpai also was pretty coy with discovering certain things. Like, he wouldn't let the writer girls, like, come upon that dead body.
Yeah. With fair reason, I would say, but
it's a weird mishmashing of superhero syndrome because the writer girls are so heavily and clearly and openly involved in this anti-shocker business and are recruited as such in certain situations.
Yeah, it's very strange because, again, like I had mentioned in the last episode, it seems like maybe they don't know that Hayato is the Kamen Rider. Especially because there are a couple of instances in this episode specifically where they refer to... Oh, this episode and the next one, actually, where they refer to Kamen Rider as if he is his own separate entity, as opposed to just, like, calling him Hayato.
To be fair, other characters that do know his identity do that as well. Taki still calls Kamen Rider when he's transformed.
Yeah, and so does Tachibana. But I wonder if that isn't maybe, like, them just kind of trying to maintain kayfabe for the girls in Gora.
Possibly. It just... I don't believe there's enough clues for the girls to figure it out, but I do entirely believe that they don't know. I think it's a Duriko situation where I don't know how they don't know, but I don't think they do.
It's weird. It's very strange, especially because it's just like, we are clearly at the point where the show is kind of at a good pace and it's chugging along weekly. So I think this is maybe a problem that the writers are not thinking about anymore. But it, like, keeps becoming relevant in some way, shape, or form, or, like, it keeps becoming vaguely relevant in the episode. So it's just, I don't know. It's a weird thing to kind of encounter when you're watching these episodes, and it is something I will just kind of going back to my rewatch of O and just thinking about the more recent Kamen Rider series and stuff. It is something that they are a lot better about alleviating. They will pretty early on establish, like, here are the people who know, who is a Kamen Rider. Here are the people who are Kamen Riders. Here are the people who can know about that stuff. Here are the people who can't know about that stuff, if there's anyone who can't know about that stuff.
I kind of, and I mean this as kindly as possible, but there's a part of me that suspects that that's why this set of writer girls are so stupid. Like,
they have to
Noriko, Noriko isn't really characterized, regardless of what her on-screen decisions are. She's not characterized as someone who's kind of dumb or airheaded or unobservant, so it's weird to us that she doesn't recognize that Hongo is Kamen Rider. But this new set of girls are really, really stupid.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot more sense in context for them to just kind of go with the flow of literally anything and not really put two and two together.
Yeah, our current set of writer girls are kind of chuckleheads, and it does kind of make sense if that would be the reason why.
I enjoy it about them,
yeah.
And there's a part of me that enjoys that it makes it make a little more sense, because like every time we saw Ruriko mention like who is Kamen Rider, what a hunk, we were all like, really?
Yeah.
But when I see like Mari not know what's up, I'm like, yeah, she never knows what's up outside of she's on the hunt.
Yo,
so...
Mari, up is the sky.
Oh my god.
Let's go focus up.
She's just vibing, and it feels more natural in a sense.
Yeah. Anyway.
Man, this is one long water slide.
I was gonna say, yeah, how'd you like that, like, 20 or 30-minute tangent about, like, a 2-second scene or whatever?
To be fair, these tangents are at least about Kamen Rider and a lot of our feelings in retrospect about certain things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's at least relevant.
For once.
Good.
It's true. I'm very amused that this water slide is where we jumped off.
I mean, it
makes
was
sense.
had to jump off at some point.
We were retrospective while we were watching it because of quarantine, so we're going to be retrospective about the show.
It's true. But yeah, so we get a quick scene where we are essentially just establishing that Tachi and the group is there. And then we cut back to Taki and the coworker he is with as they are returning on, a little speedboat. They see the young girl Maki. She's up against some rocks and she is crying. They go to be like, "Hey, little girl, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" And she tells them about how her older brother was eaten by a monster. Is specifically what she says, and them both kind of being FBI agents, knowing what's up, they kind of assume that Shocker is the one to blame.
And then we get a nice establishing shot of the underwater base.
And then
I was gonna say before that, was we're a long cry away from the kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
With child actors.
Yeah, we have, along with the increased budget going to better costuming and better stunts and these nice on-location shoots, is we got kids what can act now.
Yeah,
Very
Maki
much.
doesn't appear much, but she does good with what she has.
Yeah.
Including crying, which is not easy.
No. It's again, I had to keep. Actually, should I talk about that? No, because I think that shows up at least in the first episode. Sure. So to go back to my rewatch of Oz that I'm doing with a friend. Part of the protagonist's backstory, you'll keep seeing this one specific clip that includes a young girl crying, and they clearly they couldn't quite. She's a very young girl, whoever this actress is. So I can understand if they couldn't quite get any direction out of her, so they can't get her to cry in a situation where she is supposed to be. So every time they play this clip of this girl, she's just kind of standing there frowning, looking at the ground as they are ADRing in child crying
Oh,
sounds.
No.
Yeah, it's really
Yes.
awkward to look at every time.
I was gonna say on the scale of kid to Mako and Pacific Rim,
I mean, it's
how good is this kid cry?
The kid cry sounds very good because they ADR'd it in later. It sounds fucking great.
I don't know if that one counts. I'm gonna say that's like a little above
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah, it's just one of those. Again, I'm not gonna blame them for it because this is a really young kid. So like, if they couldn't get her to like do acting good, like, damn, yeah, I'm not surprised. But it is just kind of weirdly jarring to see. So being able to get performances like Maki's and Goro's, we're going to continue to praise him until the series is done, I think. It's just nice to get really good quality child acting in these shows. So yeah, we go to Maki, we go to she explains the situation. We get, as Gopher mentioned, a great establishing shot of the underwater shocker base playset, which I mean, I love when we use models like this. I really do.
It's a delight.
It's so wonderful. And then we get another establishing shot of the underwater section of Maki's brother, as it were, as he is splayed out.
Number 17.
Yes, number 17.
The spread eagle.
Yep.
Well, that's actually not there yet.
Is that not it?
Thankfully?
I'm pretty sure
No,
it's...
This isn't
It's-
the spread, but we do see
Yeah.
him lying in his swimsuit upon the
Oh,
table.
Yeah.
he's spread out. Trust me, I'd remember.
I get if we're arguing chronology, Hayato comforts Maki before that happens.
Well, yeah.
But
Yeah.
if we really want to nitpick that much,
I must be thinking of the different spread, but
it happens multiple times.
Yeah.
They elevate, they escalate, they give you something, and then they give you something more.
Mm.
something a little more up Murray's alley.
And it's not just Mari's alley.
But speaking of this
Hayato's.
scene,
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'll tell you what, you can go up my alley anytime.
you know what is up? The Fasci statue, and it
Little fashy
and
statue.
they begin to describe what they have dubbed Operation 507, which on one hand I'm happy to see the return of operation names, on the other hand I'm sad to see they haven't returned to actually having names that are fun or silly, and that it just is a number.
I mean, after a
That's some-
certain point, you got to be like, what do we call this one? Ah, fuck it. This is Operation 507. I'm so tired.
But like,
That's
to
some
be fair,
Operation Intrude N131.
God. I guess I could believe that they had 506 plans that have failed up to this point.
I mean, at this
Yeah,
point, yeah, holy
absolutely.
shit. Especially
Like,
with fucking Hongo over in Europe fucking their shit up.
Oh, I cannot.
Wonderful.
I cannot begin to fathom the absolute devastation he has brought
Yeah, the reason
to the
why
European
they didn't
countryside.
the reason why they didn't go and follow Hongo, it's not because he had an accident, but it's also, or it's not just because of that. It's also because it's just way too violent.
Oh yeah, no, it's Kamen Rider Amazon's level of just... It's just Hongo transforming and breaking into shocker bases and ripping everyone's limbs off.
Absolutely, just
Some Doomslayer level shit. It's like
let me tell you,
it's the
the
fucking
janitors who had to deal with it quit when they saw their mess.
Oh yeah. It's that death in Invincible Shaolin where one dude just rips open another dude's sternum, but on everyone.
Oh dear.
It's whoo.
Just, but let me tell you,
Tell us.
they're getting a lot more fascist with their body language in this episode.
Yeah, yeah, they sure are. We
As-
had a number of, I referred to them as, I can't believe they're not Sig Heils, and I wasn't sure how to feel about it, and I'm still not.
Like It's not even like a It's not even like...
I mean, it's just... I think the only difference is their hand isn't, like, palm down. I think it's, like, palm out, like, to the side.
Like,
Yeah, I think that's basically it.
To be fair, they have been doing that throughout the series, though. It's not like it really took too much of a break at any given point. They are not remotely being subtle with what they're doing with Shocker.
I guess that's fair. I guess
It's been a while
they
since
do
I've
kinda-
noticed it.
yeah,
They
maybe
do
that's
kind
what
of-
it is. They felt more in your face this episode.
I would say in this episode it's probably because they have multiple characters do it a few times in quick succession,
Mhm.
as opposed to one person addresses another person before and after leaving, which is how it usually happens in the series.
Yeah.
Just turned up the dial that says Nazi, just like a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little.
Yeah. They're like, give them just a little poke to remind them, like, hey, yeah, these are Nazis. Which we remembered.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, speaking of Nazis, I guess, it turns out that their plan regarding abducting Olympic swimmers was that they were specifically looking for people with what they called exceptional stamina,
Exceptional.
and they were abducting them to help them build their secret base. What were they doing? They were after like a uranium
I think it was-
deposit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like some
uranium
underwater
deposit.
uranium thing.
Yeah, they were trying to get at that. They were just digging underwater for that, I guess.
And then
Or
wanted to-
tunneling their way over.
They wanted to build an underwater factory to dig up that uranium.
Yeah. And I gotta admit that really caught me by surprise because
Is that what's supposed to happen?
Yep.
that's what their plan describes for
Okay, I
whatever
thought they were
reason.
making an underwater base because they used the base schematic that they used in like
They
the
already got
Candy Bubbler episode or
Mm.
whatever.
No, they are building a factory to get the uranium.
And they were advancing a plan to build an undersea factory.
So they were basically abducting the people they believed would be the most useful slaves by simple nature of the fact that they can work for a long time and swim good.
I mean,
They don't really go into it ever again.
Nope.
They don't really touch on it whatsoever,
No,
and we never
not at
find
all.
out what happened to the first kidnapped swimmer. So it's a little bit of a dropped point, but
I mean, one
Yeah,
must assume, right, that they got
one must
shockerified.
assume. They probably got shockerified, and admittedly, a part of that did catch me by surprise because I had initially thought, based on the premise of this episode, that the swimmers were being kidnapped in a similar manner to Pyrosaurus,
Mhm.
wherein they were looking for a candidate for like an underwater super cyborg,
Right.
but they already
Had
had
one.
it.
Yeah, he's
so
just there.
yeah,
Yeah, it's very strange. I just want to go back real quick to I'm not crazy, right? That was definitely the same image they used for the undersea base, right? Or was it different?
I honestly don't remember. I'm sorry. I do remember seeing like a thing that looked like a tank in the bottom.
Okay.
That was in the Connie Bubbler episode, you said?
I think it's in the Connie Bubbler episode. I think it shows up
I-
in a few episodes, honestly.
I mean, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if they were just reusing assets. And to be fair, I would especially believe it this time
Mhm.
because in other episodes when they do give us like a new illustration for whatever they're talking about currently, they tend to spend like a lot of time on it
Yeah.
because they worked hard on it, I understand.
Mhm.
But they really just panned past this one really quickly.
Yeah, they were like, look, you've seen this shit. Let's go.
Underwater base.
See you next time on Thunder.
I will try to scrub through the Connie Bubbler as we continue our analysis of this episode, just to make sure we have the same poster or not.
Okay, cool. While you are doing that, we will go ahead and continue on with the synopsis, wherein Hayato is now investigating the drained out pool where the kidnapping took place. He notices that the pool seems to drain out into the ocean, which I feel like would probably be a bad idea because, like, you know, they put
All that chlorinated
right,
water and stuff.
exactly.
1970s, baby.
1970s,
It's possible.
baby.
I have no clue if that was just normal practice back then.
I'd hope not.
I also hope not.
It's the kind of shit that just wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, for
Same.
sure. But yeah, so Hayato determines that because the pool drains out of the ocean, that is most likely how Shocker was able to abduct the swimmer in question, which is wild in concept when you see the size of the pipes that
I was gonna
Hayato
say,
is
yeah.
inferring that this happened through.
These pipes were probably graciously a foot in diameter.
Yeah, graciously a foot.
So
That's
like that.
very gracious, yeah.
I am being as gracious as possible, and I cannot possibly conceive that anyone they dragged through these pipes managed to be much more than building materials by the time they got out.
Right?
Just
Like I don't know where it's such a thing where it's just like those pipes were probably just actually there,
Right.
and they were just like, fuck it, we'll just, you know, like, this is our plot thing, we're just gonna pretend, we're gonna just say this thing and pretend these pipes are human sized. That's probably the logic they went through. I'm just picturing that scene in Space Jam where Michael Jordan gets sucked through a golf hole.
Oh, absolutely. And
Just
I mean,
they use
like,
tune technology.
Yeah.
it is a children's cartoon or children's show, so like I don't think it'd be weird to suspend our disbelief for the sake that, well, like, I 100% was on the same line of thinking as you, Shakes, and that these pipes are just here, they just incorporated it into the plot. Would a kid really question it?
No.
And if they did, would it not be like too much? Would you not be that one pedantic kid who like, actually that pipe was just way too small and would have cut the guy's
Yeah,
arms off?
you'd
or
be that
something,
fucking Mandark kid from Polar Express.
Oh, I hate that kid.
Everyone does.
Everyone does.
Nobody likes that kid. He makes everything not fun anymore.
I feel bad because he's just having a good time sharing fun facts, except for that one time when he was kind of a jerk and he wanted to spy on like all the presents.
Yeah.
But he's just trying to share fun facts. He doesn't realize that he's making things rough.
Doesn't understand that he's scaring the house.
On the Polar Express.
The ho ho ho.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Shut up!
They got mad
Oh,
hoes on
no.
the Polar Express.
Speaking of refreshing drinks, our next scene has the entire writer crew sans Kamen Rider at a table with a map and a bunch of tang.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Having the most delicious treat of the 70s. Slurping on that tang. Yeah.
I've never had tang.
I've never had tang either. It's okay, B.
Please tell us what tang tastes like in the comments if you
And
have.
does it taste like Sunny D? Because then we can just settle that
Yeah.
little comparison.
I just feel like it probably would, but I've never had
Or
it.
alternatively,
I feel
send
like-
us some tang to our PO box that we don't have set
I
up
would
yet.
love to turn into a live action orangutan.
Yeah.
I actually do have a P.O. box.
Send us some tang to B's PO box.
That's what B
It has to
uses,
be
so
small.
we can't track them down.
Anyway,
I got sandbagged
what?
so bad. Okay.
I
Moving
didn't,
on, I guess.
I didn't even hear what Shake said, and I was waiting for people to build off of it, and it never happened.
Okay,
It's just
that's fine.
Poor Shakes.
mhm.
That's fine.
I'm
No,
sorry.
it's cool.
Everybody's going to get their offense no sold at least once this episode.
I guess so.
Hey, be no sold on my offense. Just
Not even- yeah.
rushed right past.
Oh gosh. But I was gonna say, I think tang is like just, isn't it just like carbonated orange juice? That's my thoughts.
No, it's a
on it.
powder.
Is it carbonate?
It's
Yeah,
a
I was
powdered
gonna
drink.
say.
Yes.
Powder.
Well,
Powdered orange
I've
juice.
whatever-
certainly not had
whatever-
tang. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever consistency a Kool-Aid would get you, but I imagine with Sunny D flavor.
And I also don't believe Tang required you to add sugar
I
yourself.
don't think so.
No, it was because it was astronaut stuff.
Yeah.
It was what the astronauts had, most definitely.
Yep.
Wasn't that actually,
Powders
like, a
in
big-
space? You want it?
Wasn't that a big, like, advertising point initially for Tang,
Yeah,
too?
that's legitimately the origins of Tang.
To be fair, NASA always be selling you space ice cream, but astronauts don't eat space ice cream.
Space ice cream makes me mad.
I've heard space ice cream fucking sucks. Is that true?
It sucks and it's
Okay.
not even real.
Okay, it's bad. It tastes bad, and also it is less effective in space than ice cream because it flakes. And if you flake things in zero gravity, it's gonna be bad. And it just
And that's why the whole, hey, I know people like to joke about the, like, Americans spent a lot of time and
Okay.
money investing in how to make, like, pencils and pens that work in space, and how Russians just used pencils, but that's dangerous, and real pencils, real wooden pencils, flake, and I know people like to joke, oh, practical solutions, we were so stupid, but no, actually, we were just less inclined to risk the lives of our astronauts.
Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid.
So, I got answers.
Yeah, that's what...
I got answers for y'all.
Okay.
Tang was introduced just as a drink, but they did genuinely use it. NASA took it on John Glenn's Mercury flight in February 1962, and
Thank you,
that
John Glenn.
boosted and on subsequent Gemini missions, which boosted their sales significantly because they were able to say NASA astronauts drink Tang.
Hell yeah.
did they?
But
it
it
like-
it created the misconception that Tang was invented for the space program.
Ah. Okay, so Tang was never actually invented for the space program. It was just used by
But
it.
they used it. Yeah.
I
don't
assume
think-
they made the bottles of Tang, and then like brought it up and didn't just make it on the space station at the very least.
Oh.
They may
I
have,
hope.
I don't know.
Also, I gotta say, as someone who grew up watching Tang commercials, be the understandably 90s extreme, we're gonna turn into an orangutan
Yeah.
and drink Tang on surf on
Go
a
into
giant wave
space.
of orange.
On the
Um,
moon.
I gotta say, Tang's packaging now looks like medicine.
Does it?
Oh yeah.
It,
That doesn't
look
sound
at this.
good.
Look up. Just look it up real quick. Like it looks like a medicine brand. Like it looks like something you'd see for cough drops. Like the packaging and logo design.
Oh, a little bit, yeah. You
Fascinating.
know what it looks
It
like?
really-
I think they made a brand shift into like health drink.
Maybe, because I was just thinking this
Weird.
looks like those, like, you know, like Metamucil, or like those powdered
Yeah.
like fiber supplements that you put in drinks.
Yeah, that's so weird.
That's very
That's
strange.
so strange. Anyway, they're drinking Tang around the table.
Studying maps because Taki's been doing scouting. I
Uh,
assume.
no, I believe believe specifically what this was. At least this is what I wrote down, and maybe this is me just not understanding the scene at all. But what I wrote down was that they were specifically looking into the area around where Maki had said her older brother had disappeared. I think that was
Mm.
like the area they had
That
marked
would
on their
make
map.
a lot more sense.
Yes, because they were certain that a base would be around the area.
Right, yeah. So Taki and other girl were gonna go do an early morning dive to go check it out and see what they could find in the area, because they were like, we suspect Shocker is the one who did this kidnapping. If this is the area near where the kidnapping happened, then the Shocker then the Shocker base is most likely somewhere nearby. Red leather,
Got it.
yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Unique New York. Good lord.
Fire and heat.
How now, brown cow?
Don't y'all
How-
motherfuckers mock me.
Many shrimp.
I was
have
just doing
to
To
the
eat
phrase from
before
a different...
you make yourself turn pink. Eat too much and you'll get sick. Shrimp are pretty rich. Boom, 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 boom.
I just
Oh god, we have to stop.
I just want to go into my Disney brain rot for just a little bit, because I have no fucking idea why. Because I know the words to the song, but Gopher went into how many shrimp, and my brain thought they were gonna finish with, does it take to get to the moon? I don't
Well,
know
that's a good
why I was
question,
thinking
too.
of the Goofy movie at this moment, but there you are. How many cups of sugar does it take to get to the moon?
When are we not thinking about the Goofy movie, frankly?
It's a great
specifically
movie.
I think
when
we all
I'm
see eye
looking
to eye on
into
that
each
one.
other's hearts. Yeah.
You know,
We went for it.
We both
Two
did.
different.
Yeah.
you can pause the podcast right here and go
Go-
watch a Goofy movie.
Yeah, go watch
Okay.
all of a Goofy movie, or if you
You're
don't...
not missing anything here.
Yeah. If you don't have...
Including
Wait,
this, 'cause
wait.
it's definitely getting cut.
Probably. If you don't have time to
It does
watch
right
all of a
now.
Goofy movie, at least just go listen to, like, Eye to Eye or Stand Out or any of the other great songs from that movie. Nobody else but you. It's just our luck. We're stuck together. We need to focus.
We have to keep
We
going.
have-
So while they're prepping to do their morning dive, Hayato is fucking accosted.
Yes.
And he goes like he drives 2 feet and is under attack.
Under attack. We get something we've been missing for quite a while, and it's
which is bloodshed.
Hayato murders. Yeah.
Oh my
Lots of
God.
murder. It's great.
Hayato
It's
murks
been a
like
while
four,
since.
four dudes.
It's fantastic. Like the Chakra Grunts at this point in time are almost always armed, unlike early Kamen
Mhm.
Rider. But for some reason, unlike early Kamen Rider, every time they show up armed, Kamen Rider himself isn't always inclined to take a weapon and absolutely obliterate them with it every time, like he used to be. Thankfully, today is not one of those days. These shades are Gucci,
Mhm.
and you're not getting my white outfit wet.
Exactly.
Yeah, this fight starts so fucking strong because they start shooting explosions at his bike,
Mm-hmm.
and he stops and goes like, "Hey, what the fuck's up?" And these guys pop out with their machetes, and one just goes huh! and chucks it at him, and he just goes, "Bitch!" catches it and just throws it right back at him.
No, it's even better than throwing it back at him, because he throws it at some other dude who was, like, standing up in a tree.
I just assumed that was him.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's
either way,
another
it's
guy,
just
because
death
the
upon
guy in the
death.
tree still has his machete.
Just
Well-
unequivocal death.
Yeah.
He's dead now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're fucking corpses now.
Extremely dead. And
It turns out-
he takes more.
I just really love that the drip seems to unlock the bloodthirst.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like there's something about dressing up and feeling nice that makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel like you could take on the world. It makes you feel like if someone tried to mug you in an alleyway, you'd been like, motherfucker, you chose the wrong guy. And then you break his arms and take his money
Absolutely.
from his wallet.
Cool red suit, Hayato.
Yeah, well, it was white when I bought it.
Okay, Simeon.
Please do not imply that about Hayato. I'm sure he bathes.
Well,
As a man who keeps
Yeah,
himself
probably.
clean.
Yeah. We did joke that he was just on a fashion shoot
Yeah.
with himself.
I mean, he looked like it. Look, I know it might seem like we are trying to overstate the drip in this episode, but we are not. Go watch it yourself if you really need
Man's
to.
hot.
People are serving looks. Everyone is serving a look,
Everyone.
except for like Taki, because he spends most of the episode in a diving suit, except for this.
You
like,
don't think that
one
Really?
scene.
that diving suit is good, and he wears it in his own way, like outside of when he's actually underwater.
That's fair.
He does kind of unzip it a little so the collar pokes
You know
out
he
and kind of
does.
forms its own little silhouette, and like
Mhm.
you know they're always giving him a size or two too
Yeah.
small, so he's always looking a little
how
snug
he
in
likes
You're
it.
there.
right. You right. You
Yeah,
right. You right.
it's-
B. Everybody's serving looks.
Yeah, I remember saying like every single person looks good in this episode.
Everybody looks good.
Mhm.
Kids, children, men.
Random character
Wait,
that's not
I
going to
meant
show up
women,
again.
men. I repeated myself. Yeah, random character that never shows up again.
I mean, like
Everybody
FB
looks
Iris
good.
is pretty cool. I hope she shows up again, maybe if
I'm
only
sorry,
for
wait a
the
minute.
fact that
No, I like it.
I
FBI
I like it
Iris.
too. I just wanted to make sure I heard
It's
correctly.
really
You called this
good.
bitch FBI Iris?
She doesn't have a name. I don't know.
I fucking love
That's
that.
her name now.
No,
She
that's
does
so
now, yeah.
good.
Iris is her name.
Fucking FBI Iris.
Iris.
Hell yeah. That's so good, B.
That's
Too
better than
bad.
she deserves.
It really is.
I don't know. She looked cool. I'm happy to have a lady in the FBI on this show,
Yeah.
and she threw hands once. I can appreciate that.
I started good with her, and then I fell off at a certain point in the episode, but we'll get to that.
Nah, it's fair.
So
Yeah.
after Hayato just completely eviscerates, quite literally, all of these shocker
God,
mooks,
yeah.
our not quite a merman appears, and Hayato officially transforms to duke it out. But before they actually show down, he does actually fight more mooks on a suspended bridge.
It's so cool looking.
Mwah.
It's
So good.
Such a
it's
good
worth
shot.
noting that we get like the lipstick extensions, which look like fingernails but are actually missiles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I put the finger hot
Absolutely
dogs.
incredible. Yeah, finger hot dogs.
I do also want to, just since I am the person who has been like keeping track of this and pointing it out, this is another henshin transformation that we get. Which again, this is another one where we get the like the full, we get the animation and everything, which is fun because Hayato's clothes and the stock footage that they used for his transformation did not match the outfit he was actually wearing in the episode, but we're just not going to talk about that.
Wait, I didn't even notice
You didn't?
that.
Yeah,
That's
he's wearing the
amazing.
tan.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't
Oh,
worry
yeah.
about it.
But yeah, you don't have to worry about it, but it's just, if you do notice it, it's a fun little thing to spot. But yeah, we get a full transformation, which, look, one of my favorite things unironically about Kamen Rider is the transformation sequences. I could watch Kamen Riders transform all fucking day. So I am always going to be
Same.
happy whenever we see this.
Though I do know a lot of it for me is just I just love transformation sequences
Yeah.
in general. Like I can and will watch like hour-long like compilations of like magical girl transformations.
Oh, B.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are a thing.
God, they're so yes.
B, you and me, we gotta, because
Yeah, just hit up YouTube.
hour to hour and 45-minute long of just like every Super Sentai transformation and like full team
Amazing.
transformations and roll calls just back to, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love that shit so much. So we got some footage to watch. It's gonna be a great time.
You know, speaking of Super Sentai, it's been a while since I've compared it to Kamen Rider, but it's really interesting seeing we have now come to a point where the transformations are more complex in Kamen Rider than they are in the original Super Sentai, despite the fact that it's still a show that came out after this point in time in Kamen Rider.
Interesting. I didn't actually know that. I think I've seen the Go Ranger henshin like once or twice, but you know.
It is literally like, imagine the simplest classical Wonder Woman. Like, they literally spin
Yeah.
around once.
Oh.
Like, it's not even like a little whirlwind. They put their hands up, kind of like Hayato does, like straight up in the air, and they spin. And well, they don't necessarily have to put their arms up. There are times when it's a little inconsistent, but essentially they spin around once, and they just, they change the frame. Suddenly they're transformed. There's no sequence. That's it. They just say go, and they spin once and they transform.
I wonder if that's a point of practicality. Well, just because it's an easier effect, but also a point of practicality for a multi-person team.
Right.
Multi-transformation sequences.
I wondered if that might be the case, but they did make a lot of other things more complicated over time. Very small spoiler warnings for Himitsu Sentai Gorenja, but at a certain point in time, their final attack basically changes to a short game of American football.
Oh yeah.
And
What?
the way that the final attack kills the big bad of the episode changes every time.
Yeah, they have this weird like energy football that they construct, and then they play a game of American football with it, and then they like throw it at the bad guy, and then they will say something, and it will turn into something else. And then that's what will actually kill the bad guy.
Yes,
Huh?
and
Yeah.
originally it used to just be a ball that they kicked at it. It was more like a soccer football thing where they kicked it between each other. And then after that, they got a little step up where it changed color every time it got hit, which was really cool. And then suddenly it was American football, and it was different every single time. So sometimes it like turns into a prop or an animal. Sometimes it like burrows underground or splits into multiple bombs, or it turns into like an animal and it bites them and then explodes.
Yeah, they do some wild stuff with it, but it's interesting because it's also such a far cry from what we as Americans would be more used to. That becomes more common as we go into the like late 80s, early 90s, which is just the big bazooka made out of a bunch of weapons that we shoot the bad guy with, but everyone has to hold it and we all pose.
It's so good.
I love
but
that shit.
It's interesting to see like
Co-op weapon.
getting a similar length into them between them. Like it's interesting to see where they put the priorities in what they wanted to soup up first. So like in Kamen Rider they have this more elaborate transformation that they're doing, but it's not like Kamen Rider's attack set has really changed, and it's not like they've added extra effects to it. But with the Godenjas, their transformation is still extremely simple. It hasn't changed, and they get new outfits, but they're like not noticeably different, kind of like how Hayato's is similar, but it is noticeably different. But their attacks change, they get new supers, and their supers change every episode. So I guess it's just another one of those points in time where I'm like, it's interesting to see where these branch out from one another.
Interesting to see where kind of budget focus becomes. Because that is
especially. Especially as like I feel Kamen Rider is now getting closer, like in budget to Godenja, which I already felt like it had like a stronger financial backing, but now Kamen Rider does have like a lot of pyrotechnics and stuff every episode.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, at some point I did want to make a note. I think we have officially reached the complete death point of special effects Plywood and all of her cousins.
Yeah.
Because like I've noticed just completely consistently we have if something dies, it explodes now.
Yeah.
Like that's or I mean mooks are a little bit different. We're counting those deaths, but mostly if they want to demonstrate complete death, they just blow that shit up, which I'm in favor of, but a little sad that the creative use of just whatever the hell to represent death is not as included anymore.
Yeah, it's
same.
We'll miss you, necklace beads.
Rest in power, special effects Plywood, and all of your friends and cousins and family.
Yeah.
It feels bad because, like, as much as I loved it, I understand how difficult it probably was to maintain because they were initially coming up with a unique effect for every enemy of the week.
They sure were.
Yeah.
And it was great, but God, like, getting more than 10 enemies in, I imagine you start feeling a little stressed.
Yeah.
It would be cheaper just to buy this firework.
Yeah. It's like, we're
doing this weekly.
Yeah.
Plus the kids, they love the explosions.
Kids do love explosions.
It's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, we are fully in the toys and diorama era of special effects now for Kamen Rider, and I certainly don't say that as a bad thing, but yeah, it's kind of sad to see some of the, I mean, obviously the creativity isn't gone per se, it's just kind of being focused in other areas now. You know,
they know what works for most of it.
Yeah.
Most of it. We'll get to the next episode.
They can't all be winners.
They sure can't.
They really can't.
Damn.
Well, there was a highlight of the next episode.
Yeah, right
and
at the
I
top.
think that the actual top. I think this actually, you can start seeing the trend, at least for these two episodes here, where they're fighting on a bridge that is suspended above like a rocky cliff of like 50 to 60 feet above the water, and if you just fell off that, you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
At the
That's
very
why
least.
they huck a mannequin.
Yeah, they do.
They huck a mannequin, but like not before they like do some like shoulder Like, they throw some people over their shoulders and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do rough around on that suspended
which is
bridge,
just, like,
and it's
little...
stressful.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
You
A
can
little bit.
Well,
It looked like one of the most stable suspended bridges
Yeah, I was
going
gonna
to
say
seen,
with
honestly.
the bridge, it's not quite as bad because that thing definitely looks like it is secure. But with
it's
what,
not quite as bad.
yeah, with what Gopher was alluding to that we will get to in the next episode, that even I was sweating at that, and I'm like, I normally try to keep a cool head about this thing. These are trained professionals; they know what they're doing. But like, damn, this was
God
kind
damn,
of
but
anxiety-inducing.
But
we will get to
yeah.
that.
even with this one, you have, like, there's a specific clip about 10 minutes in where there's a close-up of the bridge, and it's a really nice angle.
Yeah,
But as they fight, you can see it shake.
yeah.
And, oof, just right before the mannequin is just thrown in and doesn't sink.
No, it doesn't.
It just floats.
Belly flops onto the water.
That's how you know he's dead.
Yeah.
Because that
Man's
impact would
floating.
kill anyone.
But there are some things that do definitely sink, and we see that as our Fishman and Kamen Rider begin their combat proper. After Kamen Rider has officially dispatched everyone on the bridge, they have like a bit of a scuffle on the other side before they just... Kamen Rider and the Fishman just both simultaneously leap into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we get the cool ass underwater fight scene.
Yes, this was. I personally loved this. I thought this was
It
great.
was great.
It reminded me of my own tangent. It reminded me of I had the privilege of attending a screening of Pee-wee's Big Adventure with a Q&A with Paul Rubens afterwards.
Oh, nice.
And he talked about, there's a scene at the beginning of Pee-wee's Big Adventure where he goes to Francis's house and they fight in the pool. And the thing about underwater filming and stunts is, like, the studios, like, really want you to give them a good fucking reason to do this, because it's kind of dangerous, but it's also just expensive. You gotta pay people for that.
Mhm.
And you gotta set up cameras in a way that'll capture it and stuff like that. It's neither, especially in the 80s, it's just like a fucking, you really need a good reason to do it. And he was pushing for it really hard. And I think Tim Burton was backing him up on it. And the only reason is because he really liked these old Tarzan movies where they did the exact same thing, and he just wanted it to be a parody of that.
Oh.
And it was like, it's not important at all, but he pushed for it like it was the most vital thing in the script.
Amazing. Hell yeah, Paul. Stick to your guns.
It's a delightful segment and story behind, like, what is probably a 2-minute scene. And boy, speaking of using what you got, there's so much underwater footage in this episode.
Yeah.
They must have gotten their hands on an underwater camera somehow or something, because there are a lot.
They rented it for the day.
They are just so many great underwater shots in this episode. This fight scene being one of them. There's just like a good, like, more than 50% of this particular fight takes place underwater, and it looks great. I don't know. It's hard to describe. I'm just
They even
really
got some
happy with
fish in the
it.
shot. Yeah, it was really, really good. I was enamored with every shot that included like a random passing by fish, though, for some reason.
Right? Yeah, that was such a good little thing.
It's amazing.
Super good.
What's that fish's name?
We'll never know, unfortunately.
Samantha.
I love you,
I love you,
Samantha.
Samantha.
Thanks, Samantha.
The only
Sure,
other
she's
thing that
Samantha.
happens during that underwater fight is there is a small cut to Tachibana, who is like, Hayato should have been here by now. And then we just proceed to watch the rest of the fight before we see Taki and, I guess if this is her name now, FB Iris continuing their investigation of
Like
the
you didn't make
suspected
it up.
area.
To be fair, I believe we do cut to Taki and FBI Iris after Kamen Rider has Kamen Rider and Amazonia both more or less essentially bail on the fight. We get some great
Yes.
reverse footage of Kamen Rider jumping out of the water in order to get back onto dry land, and as he does that, Amazonia is like, cool, I'm fucking out then. And so Kamen Rider is also like, I'm also fucking out then.
Oh, also, I suddenly remembered while we were watching the episode, we were all curious, or at least I know I was, whether Hayato could maintain his power underwater, if the currents of the moving ocean could possibly move the propeller thing enough for him to actually stay powered, or if it didn't count because it wasn't air. I wasn't entirely sure how that worked. But I'd like to believe they would make a big deal out of it if it wouldn't.
Yeah, for sure.
It was certainly something they were not thinking about this episode.
Yeah, that is definitely something they would have touched on if it was supposed to matter. I feel like I have to go with kind of what you were talking about though when we mentioned this during episode, because he jumps around so much in combat. You gotta admit, or you gotta think that at this point it is probably pretty inconsequential by the time he gets underwater for that particular fight scene, because he's been getting some air. So
he has been getting a lot of air.
Yeah, you'd think he's probably nice and energized by the time it gets to that point in the fight, but it is still a good question. But yeah, so we get done with that very good fight scene. We do go to Taki and Iris, right?
Yeah.
Only to show that they've started their investigation and clumsily flop into the water.
Yes.
Yes.
We watch Tachibana. Yeah, there's a scene somewhere during all of the. I think it's actually before this. There's a scene where Tachibana leads out Taki and Iris, and they're talking about the dive they're going to do. During this, or right after this fight scene, we see Taki and Iris actually go for their dive. Meanwhile, of course, every now and again, we're cutting in on Tachibana, who is waiting kind of on the side of the road for Hayato to show up. I believe after the dive scene, we cut to Goro and the other members of the Moto Club showing up to speak to Tachibana and be like, yo, hey, where's Hayato? We've all been waiting for him. Just as Hayato starts to show up on his bike, and he lets them know that he was attacked by Shocker. Tachibana lets him know about, how Taki and Iris have gone on that dive, and so that means if Shocker has, already shown their hand, they may be in danger. So Hayato, obviously being Hayato, is like, I'm going to go ahead and go after them. We also get a nice little scene. I like this scene enough to include it in my little plot synopsis thing, where Maki goes up to Hayato, and she asks about her big brother, and Hayato promises to her that she is going to save him, and he does a pinky promise with the little girl. I thought it was sweet.
Yeah.
It's so sweet, but I must admit it also makes me feel bad, given that, we've seen Hongo just completely lament and fail at every turn in this kind of interaction, because he just doesn't have any, control over his own strength, and it almost makes me wonder if Hayato is, some sort of improved model, or if he, perhaps through a newfound peace of mind that Hongo definitely doesn't have regarding, his existence as a cyborg, allows him to not crush this little girl's hand into dust?
Yeah, that's a good question, because, we have, an in-canon scene of where Hayato tries to console a crying child and accidentally, fucking annihilates the poor kid's hands. Hongo. But, Hayato goes to give a little girl a pinky promise, and, she's A-okay.
Precision. It's just better in every way.
I think more than likely, the realistic answer might be, the people making the show realize that, hey, this is a children's show, we shouldn't have a character that hurts children, even accidentally, if he's supposed to be the hero. But I did like the angle. I liked the extra little level of sad complexity it gave to Hongo, that he very much is a selfless hero type, but can't even get too much enjoyment out of it, because he knows he can't even really get close to the people he helps.
Yeah, the kind of existentialism of Hongo and trying to kind of, what is the word I am looking for? I guess trying to kind of quantify his existence now that he is a cyborg, and trying to come to terms with the fact that his life is different now, that he has to do things differently, that he has this level of strength that he will no longer be able to control, or that he has to learn how to control. It actually they kind of actually touch on this in a really cool way in Shin Kamen Rider Spirits, but in the opposite direction. Because Spirits, minor spoilers for Spirits, but not spoilers for what happens at this point in Kamen Riders, so that's why I'm willing to talk about it. But in Spirits, it starts off with just Hongo having already been turned into a cyborg, and Hayato looking into him before having been turned into a cyborg. So there is a point in time in Spirits where Hayato gets kidnapped and turned into a Shocker cyborg, and so there is a specific scene where, like, I think he goes to, like, throw a punch at a Shocker goon or something like that, and he just, like, completely takes off the dude's head. And he's just like,
annihilates
yeah,
him.
and he's just like, the only thing he is more horrified at than what he has seen is the fact that he, like, didn't feel anything, like, physically doing that. And Hayato's just like, yeah, unfortunately, this is, or not Hayato, but Hongo is like, this is your reality now. You're going to have to learn how to, like, control your strength and learn how to live as a cyborg. And you just get this really great shot of, or great panel of Hayato with this incredibly pained face, echoing back those words, learn to live as a cyborg. So yeah, it's
that manga fucking
Yeah.
rules, and every
so good.
Yeah.
literally, like, every aspect we sort of critique or joke about is, like, covered in a much more dead serious and respectful way.
Yeah.
Including Ruriko's relationship to Hongo's secret identity.
Yeah. It's, yeah, definitely.
That one got me. It was like, holy shit, they're actually doing that. But yeah, that manga is really good, and it's hard not to talk about it at every turn.
Go check out Shin Kamen Rider Spirits, especially because the comic goes on for a very long time, and so it covers a bunch of the other Kamen Riders as well. So just pick it up, find it somewhere. Actually, I may see if I can go find some. I found a very nifty resource online that tells you all of the best places where you can, or all of the places where you can check out, like, the best both quality and translation versions of various different forms of Kamen Rider. And of course, it will always have you support the official release if you can. Unfortunately, the keyword is always if. In this situation, glares at Toei. But it does include all of the Kamen Rider mangas. So, like, Kamen Rider Spirits, the Kuga manga, the Kamen Rider W manga, all of that. So I don't know if I'll necessarily tweet it out on the podcast Twitter or what have you, but I may try to point people in the right direction towards that thing. So if you ever want to check out those comics, we highly recommend it. We all do. Because...
Let us know if you're interested.
Yeah.
To go back to the actual show,
I actually have a question.
His with it.
Yes.
What have we been calling this child?
Maki.
Maki?
I believe it's Miyuki.
Oh, well.
I'm pretty sure it's Maki.
Yeah, it's just...
Is it?
Not the first time we've done that.
Oh,
I can't have fucked up that bad, right?
Okay.
3
but yes,
minutes, 40 in.
It is Miyuki.
Is it really?
Okay.
Whoopsie. It is Miyuki.
God damn it.
Well, edit us saying Miyuki
Miyuki.
into
Miyuki.
It's Maki now.
Yeah, fuck this bitch.
Makito. Anyways.
Try to punk me.
Listen, most of you gave words a sample, so we can go either way.
I'm not making words do that. He's gonna...
Yeah,
okay, that's an extra.
Now we got a sample for all.
That's
of them.
an extra fucking hour of editing that he's gonna charge me for. No fucking way.
anyways, so yes, like I was saying, to go back to a thing we were talking about in the episode, we were talking about they were beating that drum about the transhumanism thing with Hongo,
Mhm.
right? And that was like they loved to punctuate the episode with that, you know.
Oh.
You know, as his fight goes on, you know, even if he is a cyborg freak and he is not normal, he is fighting for justice, and he will always fight for those, even if he can't connect to them. And hopefully he'll come to terms with that. You know, like mixing those kind of messages in with to punctuate episodes, because he loved to ride away in the sunset, all angsty.
Yeah.
And in the Hayato era, we have come upon this thing where, yeah, we kind of abandoned the transhumanism aspect for one reason or another. We don't know what they were thinking, but they really still wanted an end of episode beat to punctuate. So we just have this constant thing every end of episode now where Hayato is reinvigorated to keep fighting Shocker.
Yeah.
as if he had doubts or something.
Yeah, it's
Just hose him down with more Shocker blood, and he's ready for more.
Yeah, we were commenting on how weird it was, but yeah, as soon as you started talking about them punctuating the transhumanism at the end of the episode, it's like it is an interesting way to kind of compare and contrast Hongo and Hayato. Now that if I think about it, or if you think about it that way, because whereas like Hongo, he has no issues coming to terms with the fact that he has to constantly be fighting Shocker. Like, he has devoted himself to that point. But, like, you know, the thing he does have to try and come to terms with is that, like, he isn't a human anymore. He may never be a human again. You know, he will never live his life the way he used to. It kind of makes an interesting comparison to where now we have Hayato, who seems to have come to terms with the fact that he is, you know, a cyborg, but at least the end of episode kind of makes it seem like he is kind of with each passing episode, he realizes more and more like, damn, this shit's really never going to stop. I am always going to have my head on a swivel. I am always going to need to be able to strike at a moment's notice, because Shocker is, you know, ever vigilant, ever persistent. They will not stop until they are absolutely, like, completely wiped out and annihilated. That's an interesting comparison to make between the two.
I really like it, and I like the way it adds a little extra layer of characterization, because we did immediately get the vibe from Hongo when he was first introduced that he was extremely vengeful about his new situation, as well as what he immediately saw Shocker do upon learning what they had done to him, what they were willing to do to other people as well. And he didn't even really consider that much. He considered, oh my god, what's it like to live as a cyborg, but never did it seem to cross his mind, what am I going to do about Shocker? The moment he saw them do bad things, and the moment he found out that they did bad things to him, he realized, I'm going to destroy them. If I hear they're around, if I hear they're doing anything, I'm just going to immediately uncover what they're doing, and I'm going to put a stop to it. But Hayato, on the other hand, at least from the small, like, glimpse of what he told us during his, first episode, it almost seemed like he didn't... I mean, we don't entirely know what his situation was when he was first cyborgified, but he does say that Hongo saved him, and thus most of his motivations regarding what he does as Kamen Rider is in regards to his feeling of being indebted, or at least in respect to Hongo. So I could understand if he doesn't have that immediate drive to just go kill Shocker inherently, but that he's doing this because Hongo left this responsibility with him when he left for Europe, that he said, hey, you're like me, and you can do this job while I go do this. Can I entrust this to you? So I could understand that he would need to repeatedly reaffirm this goal with himself, because it's not coming from himself.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It kind of recontextualizes now in hindsight all those jokes that we made about Hongo being, you know, so bloodthirsty, because I mean, kind of when you think about this comparison between the two of them, it's like, yeah, Hongo is bloodthirsty. He's kind of a monster in hindsight. You know, we joke about how, like, in the very first episode, he, like, barely got punked by a couple of people on motorcycles, and he chased after him, and that's what got him into this whole situation. But it is that mentality that has made him our first Kamen Rider, and kind of also that mentality that has made him so successful as our first Kamen Rider. He, as soon as he got his bearings on the situation he was in, he was like, all right, from the word go, if I see Shocker, it's on site, no matter what. Any time, any place, anywhere, if I get even the slightest hint that Shocker is doing something, I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna fucking beat ass. And, you know, Hayato, like, he doesn't quite have that same sort of, and I think maybe that's why he's able to get along a little bit better with other people. You know, it kind of also helps explain, like, why he has so many people assisting him, and, like, how he's able to establish these relations with characters outside of the group, you know, like the kids that he helps, or, you know, like, you know, Professor Yoshi P, and, you know, characters like that. Is he kind of has traded in some of that bloodthirst for a little more humanism, and that does kind of help sort of punctuate why, you know, he does have that constant reaffirmation of, you know, this is a duty that was given to me that I need to kind of constantly make sure that I am maintaining. You know, I am helping protect Japan in Japan's protector's stead while they go out to do something else. It's
I
go ahead.
Who wants to go?
Oh,
You go, B.
you should go.
I'm
Are you sure?
I'm probably going to take it slightly off of that topic, related,
Okay.
but kind of a different thing.
And I think it's interesting that sort of an understanding of that sort of dynamic also, like, further solidifies Hongo as the spearhead of every force acting against Shocker.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. He really is the front of the wave that comes at them. As much as I'd like to give credit to the FBI that seems to be making efforts in this show, they never really seem to get very far without a Kamen Rider present.
Yeah. It almost kind of makes you wonder if the FBI maybe didn't even start to look into this until after, you know, Hongo started doing what he started doing.
I think it's especially interesting that, and this is probably more of a coincidence than anything, but we had talked before about how, like, we had an episode where a cop was one of the main characters of the episode and got involved in Shocker's stuff and learned that Shocker was real and kind of what their MO is, but Shocker is still regarded as, well, it's not really regarded, is the problem. So it would be interesting if, like, he did put in the word and they just want to, I believe maybe it was Shakes who proposed the theory that the government wants to keep the concept of Shocker being real on the down low, not to alert the masses into a panic, but actually has put in a word with various organizations that could help weed them out, like the FBI, and thus that is like a chain of events that led Taki to being a part of the series. It's all theory, but it would be really cool.
A lot of this discussion on characterization and such makes me desperately wish, like, I could have been a fly on the wall of the people creating this show. Like, I would just or at least, like, I want to hear if any of these original showrunners are alive. I would just love to hear their story on this, because, like, I wouldn't be surprised if it ain't that deep for them. Like, it probably was never that deep for them, and they, like, but there's certain, like, inklings and the things that inspire us to start going off on these tangents about these character motivations and how we start recontextualizing them, to where I'm wondering, like, I just want to see the meeting where they discussed making Hayato, you know, and the new cast. I like, the original set is very simple, to where I think I understand what they wanted to go for, but they came upon a situation where they had to really retool their show in a big way. And that's where I'd love to see what their thought process
Yeah.
was, because I just, from a production standpoint, that fascinates me, and I love to see what people think when creating their works.
Yeah.
Big agree.
I would,
But yeah,
I especially would like to kind of listen in on that conversation, because as someone who's a little more familiar with, you know, the modern kind of, you know, 2000s onward Kamen Rider, the character and motivational differences between the primary writer and the secondary and tertiary and et cetera writers is something that they make very staunchly clear early on in the more recent writer, or in the newer writer seasons. You know, they make a very good point to understand, to help you understand that, like, your primary writer and your secondary writer are two different characters with two different lives and two different sets of motivations and two different thought processes, but ultimately they still have the same goal, right? They both want to do the same thing, but they want to do it for different reasons. And so it would be very interesting to see if maybe any of what we are picking up on here was even remotely intentional, because if so, it kind of helps, you know, lay that groundwork for, you know, years and years later, when they would, you know, as they would continue to make sure there were more and more secondary writers, you know, it continues to lay the groundwork for how having a second writer in a season would even work, especially when you consider how interesting it is that this season even has a secondary writer. Because you think if things had gone a little bit differently, and, you know, I'm trying to remember the name of the actor now and I can't, but Hongo's actor, if he had never gotten injured in that bike accident, we might not have a V2. Hayato Ichibanji might not have ever existed. So it's, yeah, I would really love to be able to pick the brains of, and who knows, maybe there are some interviews out there somewhere that we can go check out, but to be able to kind of pick the brains of the people who had to, you know, when that accident happened and they were like, cool, we have to, like, rework the whole show now with a different guy as Kamen Rider. You know, how much of what we were picking up on was intentional, how much of it wasn't intentional. You know, was there anyone who considered laying a groundwork for there to be two Kamen Riders? Was there even a consideration of there being two Kamen Riders concurrently, or was maybe the initial plan to have Hayato go away once Hongo came back? It'd be very interesting to kind of look into that and see how, if at all, those kind of choices affected how Hayato is characterized, because they are such, you know, we talk about it a lot, Hayato and Hongo are such different characters, but they are incredibly different characters with essentially what is the same goal, but also kind of, because they are different people and they are different characters, they also have different ways of going about that goal. And so it's very interesting to kind of to watch them do that.
I'd be very curious to know too, and I know there's a part of me inclined to say I can't help but wonder if a lot of this is not intentional, and not to say that I don't believe they're capable of putting together those sorts of groundworks, but just simply, you know, speaking as someone to other people who have also done character writing, and you know, had to work new characters into pre-existing settings and all those sorts of things that tend to be relatively commonplace in, like, a lot of tabletop games. Basically, I can't help but think a lot of this is us extrapolating meaning that I'd like to believe is true, but is more than likely just them trying to make a new character make sense. Just in the sense of, we just put a reason that they're here and that's it. Because I cannot imagine the amount of stress they were under. Not even 15 episodes in with their main actor getting completely put out of commission for acting. Like, I don't know if they ever planned to put in a second Kamen Rider, but I can guarantee they never thought it would ever happen this soon.
Yeah, that it's. I mean, all the more reason for what Shakes and I were saying about. I would love to be able to like talk to someone who was on the producing team or the writing staff, or the production team or whatever, to just kind of be like, hey, when the shit hit the fan, which I'm sure was something that maybe wasn't anticipated, what was the reaction like? How did you guys, did you guys even have any kind of a contingency plan for this? It would just be very interesting to kind of think of, be able to talk about this sort of thing and to be able to find out, like, what of this is, like, us actually picking up on intentionally made changes in writing, and what of this is coincidence.
Like, as someone who's done a lot of, story stuff, and I would love it if it was intentional, but also I know that I have stumbled upon things that are just, they happen to fit together. Even years after I wrote them, I'm just like, oh, that could lead to this, and it's not, I don't make the connections when I'm writing it, it's just, they happen to be there.
Sure, yeah.
Absolutely same. Like, I won't specify what exactly, but that has happened a few times with Tales of Harbor already, where people will say something, and we'll be like, oh, I guess that is true, isn't it?
I can think of one thing that I said. I was talking about the flower motifs that everyone seemed to have, and I still am not entirely sure if that was planned, but I don't think it was to this extent, even though, oh boy, it really does work.
Yeah.
If you think it was planned, it was.
Then sure,
Yeah.
says the writer.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's probably the answer they'd give us if we asked them about Kamen Rider.
Yeah, maybe.
Boy, we aren't done with this
No,
episode.
we aren't. Yeah, I was I had that exact thought a couple of times through this. I was like, damn, this is good podcast. And also, we are 2 hours into this recording, and we are not done with episode 1.
We're
I'm
14
so sorry.
minutes in, by the way.
Though we've
Taki's getting kidnapped.
Like,
we've been pretty productive, at least. We just seem to have hit a point where we're feeling very retrospective now.
I don't know. The Kamen Rider has given us some good shit.
We're old.
Yeah.
We've been in this game for 8 episodes.
We've had an 8-episode podcast and just...
To be fair, it has been a long amount of real world time, but that's also because it's a bi-weekly podcast.
Yeah, I mean, damn, we started this at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, we started this back in January. Damn.
Oh, 6-month anniversary coming up soon. How will we celebrate?
I have a way.
I'm gonna watch Kamen Rider.
Probably gonna also watch Kamen Rider.
Yeah, probably, but I have a way. I won't say it just in case I forget or decide not to do it.
Please don't forget. Please,
I can type
please
it.
let us know, but don't let the people
let
at
you
home know just
yeah,
yet.
you can let us know so we can remind you, but we need to get back to the episode. I don't even remember what part of the synopsis we're at.
Taki's getting kidnapped.
Shakes is right. Yes, Taki's getting kidnapped.
Taki's kidnapped. The big brother of Miyuki is really spreading evil now.
Yeah, that's where we get that titty
in
first
that
shot.
angle, and
the camera is standing below him. Oh dear.
It is a position that I would like to continue to be in.
Well,
we
the duality of the Kamen Rider podcast, really showcasing it.
We also see that FB Iris also gets kidnapped.
But not before.
Similarly to not before.
She does get to meet up with Hayato first. So Hayato's got himself a little boat.
Does.
He's on a boating adventure trying to hit up Taki. FB Iris gets out of the water. She sees Hayato. She's like, hey, my super spy communicator thing is going off. That means Taki's in danger. Hayato's like, alright, I'm going to go get him. You go back to the hotel and make sure everyone's safe. She heads back. Hayato transforms. He dives into the water. We get quite a few good extended scenes of Kamen Rider just in the suit, just swimming underwater. I dig it, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taki and Iris get put into what looks like glass tubes. Don't know why. Never explained.
Put her in the
They never
chamber.
explained them.
They never did.
They called
anything
them
with
the
it.
capsules.
I thought it would fill with water. There's holes in the
Yeah.
back, but
Yeah, I
nah.
thought it would fill with water or begin to chockerify
Or
them,
something.
but
Nah.
nothing
They've
really
just been
happened.
contained.
They've just been contained.
She does potentially. Iris does potentially kill the shocker.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do want to,
And
because we were
maybe.
glazing over it, but I do want to just mention that Iris does get attacked, and she does hold her own for a little bit against some shocker mooks. I believe, yeah, the person who actually officially does her in is the merman Amazonia. He shows up and he just kind of like shoves her into the water, and once she is in his domain, she has nowhere to go.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's
that was
she's
fun.
not a complete
I
damsel.
appreciated her getting her spot in. Like everybody gets chumped by the monster. I'm not gonna fault it. Men, women, it doesn't matter. If you're a normal human, you're going to get chumped by the monster. She got her shots in. I cooled down on her actress real hard when she got put in that capsule because boy, this woman ain't great at acting.
That's fair.
Or- because everybody is like we're in scenes that call for facial reactions, and she entirely drops the ball.
Yeah.
They're
Just dead faced.
It was especially disappointing in comparison to our boy Taki, who was out here
yeah.
doing the most on the
He was doing the most. He's like, yeah.
He is just absolutely furious that his coworker has been
Yeah.
captured and encapsulated.
he's not having it. So yes, they get captured, they get capsuled. Kamen Rider shows up. We have a fight scene with Kamen Rider, Taki, FBI Iris, and Shocker. I didn't put this in the synopsis because it doesn't last long enough to matter, but I guess we'll bring it up here in the actual podcast. That Kamen Rider and Co. start off on the back foot in this fight because they're having difficulty breathing, because Amazonia somehow made the oxygen in the room 1/3 of what the normal level would be. I don't know, A, how he did that, B, why it doesn't affect him,
Underwater base.
C, why it doesn't affect him but does affect Hongo. There are a bunch of very confused...
Hayato.
Yeah, Hayato. We've talked about Hongo too much now. There's a bunch of confusing shit about this, and then fucking Hayato changes the switches and puts the oxygen back in the room, and then it immediately stops mattering.
So it was so inconsequential and fast. You know what it felt like? It felt like an arbitrary obstacle in a video game set.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where there's just a little bonus objective you need to take care of before you beat up the boss.
Before we go further, though, I do want to backtrack just a tiny bit because we get the underwater scene with the base and
yeah.
with the model just gliding into the base.
The little
It's
Kamen
so
Rider toy
wonderful.
just goes swoop.
Oh, so good.
It's very good. Yeah, so we rescue Taki and we rescue FBI Iris. We have Hongo's like, I'm gonna go get his name was Mr. Something, and I saw it twice and I didn't write it down, and I was like,
Mr. Big Brother. I don't.
Mr.
It,
Miyuki's big brother.
Mr. Miyuki's big brother. He's like, I'm gonna go rescue Miyuki's big brother. Y'all two escape. And Taki's like, all right, on our way out, I'm gonna set a bomb because that's how this crew rolls, baby.
And we don't even get the base explosion.
We do. It's just not immediate.
Was that what that was supposed to be
Yeah.
at the end?
It happens
Yeah,
I
right
just
after
assumed
what's
he
his
exploded
face.
real hard.
I mean,
I
maybe.
just assumed the merman exploded very hard. Like,
no, they
we
very
didn't get
clearly
to see the base.
No, we
blow
do.
up.
They very clearly cut to the base.
Maybe I just looked away for
You
a
might
second.
have.
Oh, now I'm mad at
Poor
myself.
Shakes. It's gonna be okay.
I'll just rewatch it later.
But yeah, so we watch Taki and FBI Iris escape. Hongo gets the older brother. He helps them escape. He gets him up onto dry land.
Another nice little reverse footage jump, and he is dry as dry as sand.
Yeah. Hongo tells, or Hayato, damn. Hayato tells older brother son to go go collect his sister while he faces off against Amazonia. We get a fight scene that is, obviously it's another like partially on land. I think they go into the water a little bit for this fight scene, but it's largely on land.
Mostly on the rocks,
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't remember anything too super significant happening in this fight scene besides obviously Kamen Rider. Ooh. Kamen Rider wins. Whoa.
Well,
no,
I
there's
remember
one-
the finish.
Yeah,
There's one very, very good thing, and it is when Kamen Rider decides to dead possum for
yes.
a moment, and then the
Yeah.
merman approaches him, thinking, pathetic Kamen Rider,
I do love
you have
he
been
specifically
defeated.
says, "So Rider, you've given up the ghost?"
And then Kamen Rider just rolls over and kicks him
Yeah,
in the
he
dick.
does.
Rider, surprise dick.
It's so good. Yeah, he just kicks him right in the nuts. Hits him with the low blow while the ref isn't looking.
Which is a really strange tactic, but
it
I guess for
works.
Hayato,
It's
it
very
works.
Hayato.
I could see him doing
I can't
it.
argue the results.
Yeah, I will
on.
say I don't think I have seen a Rider tactic that has been more in character for Hayato than playing possum and then kicking someone in the dick.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Very good. Shakes, you said you remembered the finish. You want to go through that for us?
No, I mean, that was mostly it. Was the Rider's
Yeah,
surprise
dick kick, and
then he just Rider kicks him into the ocean, and the man goes off like a fucking depth
yeah,
charge.
he does.
Yeah, he explodes. Cut to the
Base
base.
explodes.
The base explodes.
Missed
Kamen
that
Rider won, and the big brother.
Yeah, Miyuki's big brother shows up in the drip as well. This was a good look.
Yeah, he gets changed. He realized I'm in a Speedo. I gotta get changed before I reunite with my
The
family.
fucking cream turtleneck, the khakis, nice.
My man's looking all beige
All
today.
beige.
Neutral planet.
But yeah, he goes and he reunites with his sister, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's very sweet." All the girls are talking about, she was super worried. She missed you a lot. You better spoil her. And we get a good bit of Goro because Miyuki is crying because she's so happy her big brother is back, and he's like, "Oh, y'all are gonna make me cry too." And
Goro
It's
with
real
the fucking just with the comedy of like a 40-year-old.
yeah, he's
man.
so good. I fucking adore Goro. And then we see Hayato looking wistfully off a sea cliff, and we have to end that for him so we can go bother him and be his friends.
Every time.
He doesn't get off that seat.
He doesn't.
No, he doesn't. To be continued.
We, obviously, as we had
Play
mentioned,
tomorrow.
we end with a stinger about Hayato renewing his promise and his will
drive.
his drive to defeat Shocker. And that gets us through episode 22.
Thank you for all of
Yeah,
your patience.
hey, sorry about that.
I as much as I want to say I'm very happy that most of our long tangents were entirely about Kamen Rider, and I think we're feeling very
Mhm.
retrospective.
Uh,
I can only wish that we had placed them all after the episode, maybe, or
Me
before,
too.
or at the end of
Right.
the whole
I
thing.
mean, we
but
just
you
weren't
know
thinking
what?
about it at the time.
This is all free form
Yep.
and unscripted.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I will say.
Flow of
I think that's what the script says anyway. Let me check.
I for as much as we have spent good chunks of this episode talking about random nonsense bullshit, I am happy that on this probably what will end up being maybe our longest episode, the reason that we, the first part of the episode took 2 hours is because we were actually talking about Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
I'm happy that Kamen Rider is getting us thinking. I'm glad that we have thoughts about the
We
show.
really put on our character speculation shoes.
Yeah, we did. Our character specs, if you will. That being said, we would like you to, speculate on these ads that we're about to play for you while,
Speculate on these.
you'll speculate these nuts. Jam!
I'm s-
Please speculate on the ads.
Speculate
Thank
these
you.
nuts. Slap your nuts
No.
and die.
We're on break now officially.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for listening so far. Please consider giving us a follow over at @FirstRidePod on Twitter. If you want to catch us individually, you can also follow at KingFats95, at WhaleGopher, at ThatGalInTheHat, and at BDropsArt. If you'd like to see even more, consider following the Tales of Harbor Twitter, at Harbor Tales. Tales of Harbor is an actual play OVA tabletop game featuring Action Shakespeare and B-Drops, along with Public Opinion RP and DM'd by Wordsy. Consider using the hashtag Tales of Harbor. Not only does it help promote the show, but doing so will let your name be used as an NPC within the game. Furthermore, the pinned tweet on the Tales of Harbor Twitter is a place where you can suggest magical items for the players to purchase. You can submit them anonymously, or you can leave your name if you wish to be credited for the item. Tales of Harbor is hosted every other Friday on twitch.tv/wordsy, WORDSE. Thank you for listening, and now back to the podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed the break. We hope that you have been enjoying the podcast so far. Apologies that it is running on the long end, so let's go ahead and just get right on into it with episode 23, Soaring Monster Flying Squirtle. Squirtle. It's a hard word to say. It's Squirtle. It's Squirtle. You know the Pokemon? It's that one. It's Squirtle. Yeah.
Kame.
Yeah, Charmander.
Also known as Sky-Flying Monster Musasabedel. Yeah, Musasabedel. Yeah.
None of these names are good.
Yeah, Soratobu Kaijin Musasabedel. It's all rough.
Like, remember the Starfinger? It's the opposite.
Yeah, at
of
least. Yeah, this is the opposite of Starfinger. But yeah, Soaring Monster Flying Squirtle, Kamen Rider episode 23, air date September 4th, 1971. Again, we just kind of have a one-episode synopsis, which is Tobei, hunting Flying Squirtle, who stole a new liquid fuel, falls into the monster's hand when he discovers a shocker base. Now even the synopsis isn't even right.
Wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Huh?
What? Liquid
Yeah,
fuel?
right?
Well, I mean,
no,
that's
that part
right.
was explained.
That's the only right part.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what I was getting at, is like they don't even go in. They go into the shocker base. We see the shocker base. The writers never go into it.
They really don't. It's all out of that base.
It's all outside the
Which
base.
is a shame because it has this beautiful painted mural of the monster.
Yes, but we will get into that here as we are going to go ahead and begin. So we start off with a group of scientists. They are testing a new liquid substance and its explosive properties. See how powerful it is, how good it are at blow up. The answer of which being it are real good at blow up.
How do they conduct this test?
It is.
They got the Frank's Red Hot in the syringe.
Yeah. So they fill up a syringe with Frank's Red Hot, aka fucking Batman blood.
Mm-hmm.
And they go ahead and just squirt some onto like a bunch of cotton balls in a dish or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of them lights a match and tosses it in, and the whole little setup just fucking explodes.
and
I would like to add that there is literally no protections in place for the scientists conducting this experiment, except for 2 out of 3 of them are wearing welding masks.
mm-hmm.
A third one is
just
just
don't give a
standing
fuck.
there.
Does not
He
give
really
a
doesn't
shit.
care.
one, their hands look a little oily. They light the match. They're not
Nope.
wearing gloves.
Just lab coats and welding masks.
The guy with the match has to drop it and run.
Yep.
Literally ran.
you know, all the lab safety protocols that your teachers might have done in like middle school. They're gonna
They
fail
didn't
that
know
test.
what those were in the 70s.
That's why they were invented.
Yeah. But it is determined by this experiment that this liquid sure do fucking explode.
That's super hot fire.
Yeah. 300 degrees. That's why I'm super hot, boy. So the main scientist is like, our liquid fuel, it's real good at blow up. We're gonna set up a test in Hokkaido. We're gonna test that our liquid fuel at that rocket launch that's happening in Hokkaido tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's see if
So
it do good for rocket as well as blow up.
Yeah.
Want to
Yeah,
go Mars?
we want to go Mars.
Bring your tank.
Yeah, we want to go Mars. Look, it's very important we go Mars.
They do keep explicitly saying that also, which is one thing I love. They just keep saying, we really want to make it to Mars. This fuel can get us to Mars.
We're going to finally send a rocket to Mars. We can send a rocket to Mars, rocket to Mars, rocket to Mars. Apparently, we as humans have been desperate to go to Mars ever since, even as far back as the 70s. We've just been like, I want to go to the next one. I want to go to the next one. I don't like this one no more.
Go with this one.
Please, I want to go to Mars.
I don't want you to explore the oceans. I want to explore Mars.
I want to go to the wet one.
I want to explore Mars.
And then I want to go to the big one.
The one that's to Jupiter and then to the infinity.
Yeah, to Jupiter and the infinity.
Buzz Lightyear's famous catchphrase.
Yeah.
I mean,
good old Luz Bite Ear.
I feel like the names of the soundtrack or of the songs in 2001: Space Odyssey might be lost on people.
Yeah, I didn't get that vinyl.
you didn't pick up it up on limited edition sale.
Yeah, no.
I would. Damn.
I might check out something like that, but I also don't have a vinyl player.
And
vinyls are expensive, so I'm not buying one unless I can use it.
Fair.
That's just the nature of the beast. Vinyls are fucking like premium now. You gotta pay top dollar for those. I'm not buying a vinyl I can't actually play. Fuck that.
I want to listen to the Doom soundtrack on vinyl, but we're already getting off topic.
Anyway, we go to Hokkaido in the model of the rocket launch.
It's the slowest rocket ever.
It's
so
very good. Yeah, so we put in like 100 cc's of this fuel, and one of the scientist guys is like, is 100 cc's really going to be enough to launch this rocket? And main scientist guy,
I don't know, but the strings are.
Main scientist guy is like, it will be enough. And so we go back to the model. The model the model lights up, fire's coming out of the back end. We use 2 strings to move it off of the little platform and into the air, and we're like, yeah, we did it.
It's just beautiful.
It was strong enough to launch the rocket. We're gonna go to Mars. We're the champs.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, Shocker is revealing their new Shocker cyborg,
some
the
roadkill
flying
they found.
Squirtle. Yeah, this fucking...
Could I stop us for just 1 second before we get to that thing?
Okay, go ahead, B.
Yeah?
In the establishing shot, before we go into the base and see what they're doing, we can see, standing in front of their horrible, ugly, derelict base, kind of like Mothar head, like, across the street, is just 2 Shocker mooks, like, standing guard outside.
Really. Just the most ridiculous
daylight
guard post.
In uniform. Like, they got their swords out, just standing in the middle of the street.
Someone
I love it.
Someone walks by. It's like, oh, what are you doing here?
Understandable having a stay.
I see.
I mean, honestly, if I rolled up on someone with a costume like a Shocker grunt, and I was like, yo, you cool, my guy? And he responded to me with, eh! I'd be like, all right, understandable, have a good day.
Yeah, while holding a sword. It's just like,
I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go, actually. So, very, very good guard post, but yeah. So there's a very cool thing in this scene, and there is a very not cool thing in this scene.
And they happen
The
to be
very
the same
cool
person.
thing in this scene is there is on the walls, on all of the walls, I think, there are these portraits of our monster, the flying squirtle, and they look dope. They are fantastic portraits, wonderful artistic
Menacing.
renderings of this new cyborg that we have. The not cool thing is the flying squirtle.
Unfortunately,
He looks...
there's artist liberties. Ooh.
It's disappointing because the fursuit technology was so good not but an episode ago, and now it's so bad.
It's a little rough this week.
It's
he's a
rough.
mangy son of a bitch.
He really is.
And there's the thing for me is, like, we call him mangy because he's ugly, but the unfortunate truth is he's not. And that's the thing where I think they completely fail, because it can be difficult to make, like, non-predatory mammals look scary. So, the thing is he's not mangy, and it doesn't work. He's pristinely fluffy. He looks stuffed. He's got an ugly face, but, like, not in a threatening way. He just looks kind of wrong. He looks like a real, like discount. You got this thing out of like a family restaurant claw machine kind of looking thing.
The roadkill pull is unfortunately, like, pretty apt, because I mean this suit specifically really looks like they pulled like an actual flying squirrel off of the side of the road, and they were like, "Oh, there's a cyborg for you.
We can work with this."
There's some inspiration.
I can do some of that.
See, it falls apart. Like, I'm doing like some artist stuff where you block out parts of it, see what doesn't work, and like besides the whiskers, which look like dandelions,
weirdly,
but besides that, the mouth kind of works on its own, and then the top part of the face with like the eyes and up work fine, but together it's just a little weird, and it doesn't gel well.
No,
in short, this guy sucks.
Yeah,
this is
A
definitely
bit.
one of the bottom tier Kamen Rider bad guys.
Yeah,
unfortunately, yeah. This is I hate to. This is definitely the worst suit that we have encountered, and look, not everyone's going to be a winner, but it's just.
It's really not a contest. Like, there aren't too many costumes that we've ribbed on and just like not really thought had too many sincerely redeeming qualities whatsoever. This one is a pretty clear-cut case, or if I think we put it to a vote, there would be unanimously no disagreements. This is the worst costume in the show thus far. Just in every account, mostly, it's not effective. I look at this thing and I'm just like, it's not, I don't feel like this is antagonistic so much as an annoying
Which
little
I guess
creature.
is apt in hindsight, because, like, this motherfucker is in, like, Cobra Man territory as far as effectiveness.
He's also lame.
Mm-hmm.
This dude fucking sucks.
It's pretty lame. Which is a real shame, because they immediately go into talking about his power set, and he's basically sort of Rodan. Which had the potential to be really cool.
It's in the vortex.
Essentially, he can go Mach speeds. He can disable people by flying by them really
Pull
fast.
him with the slipstream. We watch him do it to a nearby passing old man.
Just some guy.
He is just some fucking dude.
We did not even bother to write a backstory for this man. He's just a guy.
Nope.
He's in the area, and now he's dead.
Yeah. Once again, proving you can't have shit in Detroit.
Shredded his insides, I believe was the.
So Shocker reveals this new cyborg, and they're like, "Look, you're gonna go." What I really appreciate is they're like, "You're gonna go steal this new liquid fuel so we can use it to blow up, so we can use it." and some shocker goon, which I'm not gonna lie, when this guy said this shit, I thought something was gonna happen and it was gonna be revealed to be Taki.
Right.
Because this is a Taki level of dumbass question. He's like, excuse me, Supreme Leader, why do we even need this liquid fuel in the first place? And the fact that he didn't get shot on sight for that is amazing. But instead, in fact, Fashi's statue explains that they're going to, because this liquid fuel is so heckin' powerful, they're gonna use it to blow the stuff up.
It's like what they said. It's like a kiloton of TNT, which
Yeah,
they've really vastly underestimated what that means.
Well, I actually did Google it. It's
is that less than a ton? Did I fuck up?
It's a kiloton is less than
Less
a
than a megaton.
Yes, and a megaton is the metrics that the nukes and bombs are usually measured in.
Okay, so
this
we're not quite nuclear, but
this is like it's like a strong missile attack.
All right, well,
I mean, still,
but
props to them.
Still,
yeah.
This thing is still a very powerful explosive, and I guess they make good on that in a way later.
Yeah.
Hey, Chekhov's briefcase full of explosive material.
I wonder why it went off. Just them hitting each other with it. Gosh.
Yeah.
It takes a real big beating before it actually goes. So yeah.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. So they're like, that's your mission, go get the stuff. And then we drop in on Hayato at the Moto Club, where we are back to Tachibana, the grumpy old man who can't get with it.
He's pissed.
He's not happy. And we find out why, because Hayato's like, hey, where are the rest of where are the girls and shit? I shouldn't phrase it like that. Sounds like Hayato's like some kind of player rolled up. Hey, what the bitches and shit?
Oh, white women at?
Hayato would never do that.
Where are the white women at? Where are all the white bitches at? Hayato, you crashed the white bitch.
Hayato would never ask where a lady is.
He's
never.
just wondering why it's so quiet.
Yeah, so Hayato's like, what's...
Now, where's Yoshi P, on the other hand?
Out of the
Giving a presentation right now. There's a dated reference for you.
Yeah. To date this video...
2 weeks prior to its release.
To date this video, male rabbits.
Male rabbits for Final Fantasy XIV with an extensive free trial up to level 60.
The end. Why is it so quiet?
I've been saving my Fantasia.
Why is it so quiet in the motorcycle shop?
We're gonna fucking finally have the rise of trans sexy Daisy. I can't wait.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why is the motorcycle shop so quiet, Fats?
Well, it's because the writer girls are on vacation. Aha! Like there isn't so much work to do.
I'm glad we impersonated his delivery.
It's so fucking good. Tachibana is so fucking mad.
He's so pissed at this. And Taki's gone.
Yeah, and Saki's gone. So yes, the writer, it's weird because he implies, it seems to be implied that the writer girls as a collective are the ones who are gone. They're all on vacation. Mm-hmm. But also, based off of what we find out later on in the episode, apparently Mari was still back home and was supposed to be working. So it's like we're really just missing two girls, one of whom was missing last episode as well, and I think the episode before that. Yeah, and the episode before that.
Sorry, I suddenly just realized that I tried to defend Taki last episode, despite the fact that this episode happened and I somehow completely forgot about it. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone knows Taki's in the FBI.
Uh-huh. Do they know? Do they talk
they
about
know.
Explicitly knowing?
They know. Hiromi does explicitly say he's off doing FBI
Hiromi
stuff.
does, yeah.
God.
If Hiromi knows,
Well,
like
Mari
shit.
might not know.
Hiromi might know more than the rest of the writer
might-
girls. Maybe.
Maybe.
She
I
knows
guess
more
that's
than Mari,
possible.
but that's because Mari has a one-track mind.
Mari
Yeah.
knows only one thing, and it's disgusting. Just kidding, it's not. But
It's
Also,
it's
also
a
things
beautiful
we
thing.
brought up last time about Taki and his alleged infidelity. Taki is not fucked up to do FBI stuff per se. He seems to just be spending a vacation with Yuri.
Yeah,
And
this
Goro.
was so weird. What? That was also weird. Okay, yeah, this... If you want an episode to fuck up your continuity, this is it. Because, like, Taki seems like Taki basically is treating this fucking vacation like he's on a nice date with Yuri. Except that he is also apparently competing for Yuri's
Yeah.
affections with Goro. Goro, who that we have been led to believe based off of synopses and things that we have read previously, is supposed to be the younger sister of Mari. So why is he in fucking Hokkaido by himself with Taki and some other girl?
I honestly didn't know who he was the brother of basically at any point. So if they want to say he's Yuri's younger brother now, I'll accept it.
I thought it was Yuri. I didn't think it was.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever
Mari.
Mari.
I thought it was.
No, the
I don't
synopsis
know.
the synopsis thing I remember reading said it was I don't know, maybe I was wrong, but I remember reading that he was supposed to be Mari's younger brother.
Shrug.
Well,
Look, they never fucking
shrug.
they don't ever tell us in universe, so
It's-
what the fuck?
It's not like this makes a whole
Yeah.
lot
Oh,
of
this
sense
episode's
anyways.
all over the fucking place. My notes are a mess.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I do remember and distinctly like though Goro with some more great physical comedy in this little sequence though because they're like doing this like thing where they're like posing for photographs or something by a big clock and they're checking their watches and Goro's got a little watch drawn on his wrist.
Onto his art. Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, they were like syncing up their watches.
Just a little comedy montage. It was delightful.
It was very good.
And then we were all extremely confused after that.
Yeah. But the important part of the sequence really is when they are on... It's not Tokyo Tower, because they're not in Tokyo. What's the name of that big-ass tower up in northern Japan? Does anybody here know?
Nah.
Look, y'all motherfuckers
No.
know which one I'm talking about. No, I'm
I've
not
never
talking
been
to
to
you,
Japan, I'm
y'all
sorry.
motherfuckers. I'm
Why
talking to y'all
no?
motherfuckers listening to the podcast. But you know the one. It looks like the Eiffel Tower, except it's red. Y'all motherfuckers know the one. It's that one. They're on that thing.
I thought that was Tokyo Tower, but anyways.
I thought it was Tokyo Tower too, but they're
I thought that was
but
Tokyo Tower, and they're not on the
explicitly
red
not
one.
in Tokyo.
They're in
I don't-
Sapporo.
The one they're on
I
isn't
could have
red.
sworn it was red.
Unless it was made red after the 70s. In any case, where they are isn't all that important. Outside
I mean, we know
of
they're
the
in
fact
northern
that
Japan.
they're looking through one of those little tourist telescopes out at the city, and Goro says, "Oh,
Yes.
look, a monster!" Because he spots Squirtle, and and Taki's like, "What?" And he looks through and immediately identifies this as a shocker
Well, I mean, what the
agent.
fuck else could it be, right?
Mothman.
I don't know. In a world like this, who
Yeah,
knows?
that's fair.
It'd be weirder if you found a giant monster.
But
It wasn't
I-
Shocker.
Yeah, right?
He's right on the money regardless. And he spots Squirtle going right towards the laboratory that houses the liquid fuel and decides to try to
Motherfucker
intervene.
teleports to that laboratory, by the way. He gets there so
a
quick.
little bit.
Like, I do not understand how he gets there so quickly.
FBI man.
Hey,
FBI magic.
FBI magic.
yeah. Time portals.
So yeah, so Taki teleports to the lab. He busts in and he's like, "Y'all gotta fucking pack up your shit and get out of here. Shocker's about to bust in y'all shit." And main scientist guy is like, "What are you talking about? What's a shocker? Get out of here, you weirdo." When they hear the sounds of one of the other scientists being attacked, they go to see him. They're like, "What's wrong?" Big secret safe is open. They're like, "What happened, other scientist guy?" And he's like, "I got attacked by a monster." And we see at the other end of the hallway, it's motherfucking we'll touch on this here in a second, but I did just realize we missed something that is vaguely plot relevant. But yeah, so at the end of the hallway reveals himself. It's Flying Squirtle. Taki goes on the attack. He gets beaten savagely with the Money in the Bank briefcase. It hurts. It's real bad.
Money as in explosives.
Money as in incredibly volatile liquid
explosives in the
To
bank.
the credit of this show, they never said it was volatile.
Yeah, that's fair.
We all just kind of assume that because of
guess that's
every other
fair,
thing
but-
that usually features explosive fuel.
Yeah.
I still think it's an incredibly poor taste to, even if it were not volatile, this is the precious cargo that you have been tasked with retrieving. This one-of-a-kind fuel, and you're just beating your enemies with its casing.
At the very
I
least,
really
it's
don't.
rude, yeah.
At the very least, you're really bordering on the edge of just failing your mission through sheer stupidity.
So Taki gets bludgeoned with the briefcase, and then around to the corner, who should show up but Hayato? Hayato, who came to Sapporo to follow his boyfriend because he found out that Taki was in, was up in the north doing FBI shit, and his immediate thought was, if the FBI is up in, the north, they must be doing shocker stuff. I better get up there. So
I also want to take a vacation.
Yeah, and also I want to take my vacations keep getting ruined by shocker. I'd like a trip, please.
No.
You may never sleep. So Hayato and the Flying Squirtle get into it. They have themselves a little fight scene. I'm trying to think if anything notable happens in this fight, but I don't think it does until we get to the bike sequence.
Yeah, a lot of running.
Yep. We do have a bike sequence. We get Hayato versus 3 shocker mooks on dirt bikes. That's fun. We get a bunch of dirt bike jousts. It's a good time. And then we get
Hayato calls him a wretched cyborg.
we
Which is so funny.
Unlike me, a cool cyborg.
Yeah, I'm a cool dope cyborg.
Yeah,
Wretched
cyborg.
Holy Sigma.
Wretched cyborg.
That one's right.
So we get to the end of the fight where, again, showing his Cobraman levels of ability, Flying Squirtle entirely spills the beans on what Shocker's plans are with this explosive. And then he's like, fuck off and go home, Kamen Rider. And Hayato's like, fine. And then he whips his bike around real quick, makes Flying Squirtle bail, picks up the briefcase, and then goes, but I'm taking this with me. See ya, dipshit. And he drives off.
I'm just imagining, remember in Rocket Power where they had those fucking things where sometimes they would just do like typography graphics in the middle of the episode?
Yep.
Which is psych! That was just playing in my head that entire time. You give him the writer's psych.
Yeah, it gives him the writer's psych, and then just drives off. And instead of pursuing him with his ability to go Mach speed or whatever the fuck, Flying Squirtle says, "All right, I give up. Bye."
Gotta go back to my boss.
I concede.
Motherfucker just sees a minor inconvenience and goes, "All right, I scoop."
Fucking loser.
God, what a
hate
dork!
this guy.
Like, it's
fuck Flying Squirtle. All my homies hate Squirtle.
Flying Squirtle.
he can fly at 740 miles an hour, but only for 300 meters.
It is kind of short, actually.
Like, what?
Yeah, actually, in hindsight,
Right?
He just
Like, maybe they just meant the jump because they specifically said jump, but it felt like they implied flying.
They said glide. They said
yeah,
jump
they just
100.
specify that he glides.
100, glide 200.
Okay, they did say glide. Just what a cyborg.
Yeah,
Cyborg
he
freak.
is
Wretched
not
cyborg.
wretched cyborg.
I mean, he had it. Yeah,
Wretched.
he had it right. He's a wretched cyborg.
God damn machines.
Yeah, really very, very bottom of the barrel in regards to cyborg ability. I think it was kind of just one of those like, fuck, we need a monster. What do we do? Flying squirrel, sure, all right, whatever.
Yeah. There was like, every outside of the set, every element of this episode is just sort of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that
you could put like
the
most
place where we
anything.
film is very, very good, but
yeah, the location they have and the set they built for the monster are top notch. Otherwise, it's just sort of like you could throw in virtually any monster into this situation,
and it would have been any monster would have been fine. And I mean, shit, I almost want to say if you put Cobra Man in this situation, he might have done better. I don't know. No dogs in this episode, so
he probably would have burned somebody.
Yeah.
We put some delicious dressing on this iceberg lettuce.
Yeah, that's the flying squirreler. So flying squirreler.
Do you?
Oh, go ahead.
We were just talking about worst costumes, and I don't know if I can be unanimous on it because, as much as I hate to say it, but would you think Bee-Woman might be a close contender?
I will give you that she is a close contender. Her costume is definitely bad, but it is. I do not think it is on the. Because here's the thing that makes Flying Squirreler's costume worse is that they have already proven that they can do a flying furry costume well. We literally just got that with Mothdar. The Mothdar costume looks astounding. It was so fucking good.
Yeah, very fluffy moth.
I also find Bee-Woman charming.
Yeah, Bee-Woman. Yeah,
that's fair.
I will definitely give you that Bee-Woman is not great, but I mean she's on the lower tier of Shocker costumes, I would say, but she is not quite as low as this one.
I would have to agree. In worst case scenario, at least I feel Bee-Woman, while not one of my more favored costumes, or villains for that matter in Kamen Rider, at least she's got a look.
Okay, that's fair.
She has a very iconic look. You can, as soon as you say Bee-Woman, you get an image, even if it's just like a color. You get something. Yeah.
Blue, for whatever reason.
Which is wild. Yeah, she's blue. She's got the swirly designs. She has a painted face instead of a full mask.
Yeah,
she has
there's a lot of cool stuff going on with Bee-Woman.
Like, while it doesn't all gel together super well, and whether she's effective in her episode is debatable, but like, I still think I find her much more memorable in a positive way than this schmuck.
Okay, that's very fair, because, like, I guess with the suit, and just with how many opportunities he missed.
Right,
completely, just, gosh, just didn't do anything.
I mean...
Because at the very least, Bee-Woman had captured, like, a dozen people, minimum.
Yeah, Bee-Woman's plan actually works in some degree. I mean, this guy just, at every possible turn that he can, he drops the ball. It's almost impressive.
How do you have such a high bar for like recruiting like these cyborgs, and then still end up with Squirrel?
I think it's because they don't really know what assets to prioritize, because I just can't help but think about, like, whenever I'm like, why is Shocker such a colossal failure in every regard, I remember Cobra Man, most particularly the person who made Cobra Man, and the fact that they deemed her the resource worth getting rid of rather than him.
Cobra Man existed, he fucked up, they were like, we're gonna give you another shot, he fucked up again, and then they were like, all right, that's it. The woman who made Cobra Man is going in the garbage. Like, are you sure about that one?
It wasn't even both.
Yeah, right. Like, why not both?
And it's a shame because it's not like she built a poor quality product, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, you just picked the wrong cyborg to resurrect. Especially if you had the ability to resurrect cyborgs, why didn't you bring back an effective one like fucking Chameleon Man?
Chameleon Man.
Chameleon
Well, they
Man.
did, and then he
Oof.
got killed again.
Well, yeah, but that was
Wow.
Because they can't rebuild their brains, apparently.
yeah, apparently.
They're just laughably inept, despite how serious they're
Yeah.
supposed to take them.
That's very
It's
good.
delightful.
So where were we with this episode? Squirrelder goes back to the Shocker base, and they're like, "Hey, fucking get your ass back out
Do
there.
your job.
Please do your job." And he's like, "All right, okay."
All right.
And we cut back to Hayato, who
Okay.
has gotten the briefcase and returned it to the scientists, and they're kind of musing over things, and they're like, "Hey, look, if we're being honest, this particular fuel is a little too dangerous for people to be keeping around, and it may be a good idea to destroy it," which, surprisingly, lead scientist guy is like, "No, yeah, you've got a point there. We probably ought to get rid of it."
He
And
like
some of
is
the other
already on it. Like,
Yeah,
'cause somebody
he's-
called him to tell them they were on their way.
Yeah. He was like, all right, if fucking Nazi cyborgs are going to try and steal my super explosive I made, let's get rid of it, huh? So
Disgusting.
he gets that prepped up. I feel like there is something that happens. Oh, yes, we get the phone call scene is what happens in between this and that. So while Scientist Man is getting everything prepped on his end, we have Hayato giving a call to Tachibana to, explain what is going on. Tachibana, finding out that Shocker is up in Hokkaido, is like, all right, with what time it is, there's like an immediate plane that is leaving. I can get my ass up there in like 2 hours. I'll see you then. And he just kind of bolts, which I do appreciate his gung ho. His willingness to just be like, all right, let's do it.
Extremely.
Something else.
God, really? Nobody wants to work.
I mean, extremely consistent
Yeah.
on that front.
I mean, I will never not love Tachibana because he is always ready to throw down.
Tachibana will bite his tongue off for you, and that is just more than you can ask
really
for in a
is.
friend.
God bless you, Tachibana.
Bless you, Tachibana. You're really underappreciated, especially since the whole Hayato arc started and you've mostly just become the butt of the joke as the oldest
Yeah,
member
he
of
is
the
kind
crew.
of comic relief
Yeah.
old man that is sometimes useful.
He did
He
blow
did.
up a whole base, though, and
Yeah.
I'm glad they gave him
Yeah.
that. He still throws down regularly.
I also forgot about this is where Hayato finds Yuri and Goro sneaking around because they want to try and help fight the monster, because I guess this is the episode where the writer girls and co have to be chucklefucks.
Graduated from Chuckleheads,
Yeah,
I see.
well, I mean, they definitely goof pretty hardcore this episode, so that's what gets them the promotion.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
you
you really-
did it.
Boy, you really screwed the pooch. So yeah, Hayato finds Yuri and Goro sneaking around. He calls Tachibana. Tachibana's like, I'm gonna be on my way. Oh, go ahead.
I would like to mention, I didn't see this on the first watch, but you can tell that this is definitely a set they created for this, and not just like a room, because when Hayato kicks open the door, the
Oh,
wall
yeah.
jiggles. It's really
That
good.
is very good. So yes, we cut to the we go ahead and cut to the airport where the guy from the nuclear, I think it's called like the nuclear materials facility, something like that.
Something along those lines.
Just took a commercial
shows up-
flight with his giant suitcase full of radioactive materials.
Yeah,
God
It
bless
was the
the
70s.
Yeah.
and it was like a lead suitcase or whatever.
I
so-
forget, was this before or after the guy is smoking in the room full of volatile fuel?
This is after the guy smoking in the room full of volatile fuel.
He's just got a cigarette.
The 70s.
I love it.
So,
Sorry, yes. Continue. Our man is getting picked up in an incredibly non-suspicious way.
yeah, so he shows up, and he gets picked up by there's just a car waiting out front for him that he just waltzes on into, right? Does he even ask
No,
to
yeah,
make sure?
he goes like, man, they didn't say they were gonna have a car waiting for me. Oh, well, that's weird. And he's like, get in. And he's like, okay. That's it.
He says, I'm from the Hokkaido branch, and he's like, okay, I believe you.
I believe you.
Like, no credentials or anything. He just rolls up, and to be fair, like, they do have a car that looks like it's from the place. Like, it says like radiation center on the
That's
side
how you
of
know.
it.
It's
That's
going
how
to
you
the
know.
ring.
That's how you know they didn't just get a stencil and some spray paint. It's completely legitimate. Please get in my car.
Okay. I
So he
believe you.
does. And then a couple seconds later, Tachibana shows up in his old man outfit.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So good.
Like,
Looks
I don't know
comfy as
what he
heck.
was doing.
He's
I genuinely don't know.
He's got a bag made out of a big cloth with that pattern. You know,
Yep.
the green one that every old Japanese person has had ever with the
Yeah.
white swirlies on it. I don't recall if there's a name for that
The
pattern.
one that
but
thieves carry around.
Yeah.
He looks
Yes.
like he's like a fucking like Edo period thief character. He's completely out of time. Like, I don't know what he is doing. Like, he's later like carrying a giant leaf as an umbrella. Like, what is happening with Tachibana?
I have to assume it is just something about the area that they are going to, because also when she shows up, Yuri is
Yeah.
in like a very old-timey outfit, and Mari is in the same old-timey outfit when she shows up.
Yeah, you're right. There's like a, oh, we're in this place, history, we're gonna dress the part, we're gonna be
Yeah.
fashionable. Boy, yeah, people take it to certain extremes though. Tachibana.
Yeah, Tachibana, he's like, he's not one to do anything half-assed, I'll tell you what.
oh, absolutely
Getting on
not.
his Pee Wee Herman bike.
Yeah. So Tachibana shows up, and we watch the car as it goes. It goes driving along, and then we see Flying Squirrel show. He throws a like smoke signal thing, and the car stops, and dude in the car, radioactive material man is like, "Why did we stop?" And I don't know why, but he gets out of the car. And so he gets attacked by Flying Squirtle, as you might imagine. And so other two guys who are in the car just go to the laboratory where everyone is waiting without this third guy.
Yeah.
They show up with a briefcase that looks like the briefcase that, this third guy that showed up had. When main scientist dude comments on the fact that he doesn't recognize these gentlemen, and also that the radioactive chemicals facility was stated that they were going to only send one guy. That's when these two reveal that they are shocker goons. They open up their briefcase full of smoke.
The classic prank.
Yeah, you know.
Suitcase full of smoke.
So...
It's nothing about the smoke either. They don't go like,
No,
oh, it's poison gas. It's like, no, it's smoke.
No, it's just smoke.
They just all
They
just
just
try
needed
to
a smoke
start
screen.
beating their ass.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they open the briefcase full of smoke. One of them steals the briefcase full of explosives, throws it at Flying Squirtle. Flying Squirtle does a bunch of cool flips and tricks in the air to make you think that he's about to glide off, and then he gets on the back of a motorcycle and rides away.
Fucking loser! I hate this.
God, what an
fucking
idiot.
monster.
Hate the squirrel.
Like, in his like, I think in that moment it's supposed to be a diversion. Because they do this chase
Right.
scene, right? And
Yeah.
and they get split off.
Mm.
So the squirrel and his goons all ride off on motorcycles to stay clumped together and think Kamen Rider needs to get involved in that, and then the goons lead Kamen Rider off.
Right, yeah.
And
so,
then
so yeah,
the squirrel does fly after that. I will give him this.
but not when he isn't, like we said. So Hayato comes out, he turns into the Kamen Rider, he gets on the bike, he chases the goons, they go through a tunnel. Hayato keeps chasing the goons, but doesn't, I guess, seem to notice that Flying Squirtle isn't there anymore. Flying Squirtle is like, yeah, you fucking chase after those dicks. I'm gonna go do my own thing. And he is caught and pursued by none other than our very own hero, our hometown hero, Tachibana, and his Pee Wee Herman bike. I guess he was on his way to the laboratory, and so he just happened to catch this, so he just starts pursuit. That is the impressive thing. He pursues a cyborg that can fly at 200 meters an hour on a bicycle.
And catches up.
And catches up.
Just...
I don't know what's more likely. Tachibana is a very powerful man who is willing to do anything for his friends. But also, Squirtle has been nothing if not inept this whole time. And I could completely believe that it was just being extremely leisurely in its pace en route.
I am very upset about how accurate what you are saying is, because that's super probably the case.
Yeah.
I'd rather just believe that Tachibana is such a hometown hero that he'll bike at 200 miles an hour. But yeah, it's probably not the case.
Could it be both?
It could be somewhere in the middle. They don't have to be completely mutually
that's fair.
exclusive.
Well, Tachibana was biking at 200 miles or 750 miles an hour, which is over the speed of sound. And he's like, "I'm doing it," and then he gets a little further than the squirrel, and he's like, "Wait a minute, squirrel's going slow and needs to backpedal."
Yeah, I am going to choose to believe that yes, that is the case. He was going faster initially, and then he was like, "Damn, this squirrel sucks."
We don't really have too much evidence to contradict that,
Yep.
so...
Nope. It's not touched on. Don't explain
so whatever. Tachibana 1, Flying Squirtle 0. Fuck you.
Heck yeah.
So we get a... we do get a fight scene here just around about the time that a Kamen Rider is noticing that he seems to be getting farther and farther away from his quarry. Because he has put a tracking device in the briefcase, so that way he can make sure to always be able to follow it. Right? Am I crazy, or there is a fight scene in there?
There is.
Yeah.
He fights the mooks and he's like, "Oh, it's gotten so far away." And I don't know why he wasn't following the tracker, but, whatever. I guess I could sort of understand if he's just using his cyborg eyes and not really questioning what he's seeing.
Yeah, it's a little... But whatever. We will allow Hayato to make a mistake every now and again.
He gets one
Yeah.
as a treat every now and then.
He's not perfect.
Contagious.
Yep. Is this the point? Yeah, this is around about the time where Mari shows up, isn't it?
After Hayato dispatches those people, I do believe we do cut to a scene where we see Mari, Yuri, and Goro in the car.
Previously,
has
they
Mari
were...
already shown up then?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
Whoops.
some point in there.
Yes.
At some point in this mix, Mari,
Yeah.
Goro, and Yuri decide that they're gonna interrogate the prisoners with their sticks.
So to explain things a little bit, Goro gets left behind to deal with the shocker grunts while Hayato goes off to do Kamen Rider shit. Goro successfully beats up the 2 shocker goons, ties them up, and sticks them in a closet. At some point in time, Mari shows up, meets up with Yuri and Goro, and is like, "We should go help do Kamen Rider shocker shit." So they get to where where Taki has imprisoned these shocker goons, and they're like, "Let's interrogate them and make them take us to the shocker base." We have a scene where Goro, Mari, and Yuri are in a car that is, and they are forcing.
Before that, Goro basically looks at the camera and is
Oh,
these
yeah.
fucking guys.
Yeah. I believe the exact line he says is "Some people never learn" or something
Right?
like that.
And yet he goes along with them.
Well, sure, he's just a little kid. He knows he's probably safer with them than he is on his own. I guess, maybe. I don't know.
I would have just went home and played video
Zoom
games.
in. Yeah. Zoom into his face, super close up. Some people never learn. He shakes his head and does a pout. Just
laugh track play.
amazing.
Yeah.
Seinfeld theme plays after.
So they are in the car with the shocker grunts, holding them up with a stick and a machete, because for whatever reason, even though Mari is a fencer and that's supposed to be her bit, we can only ever show her doing fencing with a stick, even though Kamen Rider murders several people an episode. I don't get it. But they are in the car with, they are interrogating these shocker people, and I guess apparently at this point, after the fight with the shocker goons, is when we cut back to them being in the car, and the shocker grunts kind of just like break really hard so that Mari and Yuri drop their weapons, and then they pick up those weapons and turn on them.
Yeah, oh no, our flawless plan.
Yeah, really. Just
clownery.
Buffoonery.
Tachibana catches up with Squirtle.
And so they square off.
God.
This really is kind of a clown fest of an episode, actually, the more I think about it.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot here, and like they still only have 22 minutes to run off of it, so it's just...
They just did what they could. Let me see. Hayako.
We do get some lovely establishing shots.
I did have that.
Of the
I had that
landscape
written
and
down,
scenery,
the tourism shots. See, beautiful Hokkaido.
Yeah, absolutely. It works.
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful.
So, Tachibana and Flying Scroller kind of square off as Hayato is on his way. Eventually, Hayato arrives, and with Tachibana's help, he is able to take the briefcase. But Flying Scroller is like, "All right, well, hey, guess what? My homie's got your friends tied up over at that mountain. So
use your cyborg eyes and look over."
Yeah, use your cyborg eyes. You can either give me the briefcase back, or we're gonna kill your friends. So Kamen Rider's like, I have no choice, but he knows that there is one person in this group that he can always trust. So he says, "Fine, I'll give you the briefcase." Flying Scroller heads over to where the captives are. He says, "Let them go." He's a squirrel of his word. I don't know why, but he is.
I really don't know why.
Yeah.
And then, with all the anger, the vengeance, the vitriol that he can muster, the hero of the day, Goro, scrambles over, picks up some rocks, starts throwing them at Shocker. and this provides enough of an opening for Kamen Rider to jump over and initiate a fight against the flying squirrel.
What is
That'll
the
teach you to
scariest
fight honorably.
Yeah.
in the series?
So yeah,
We have an awesome fight scene, except for the fact that it is also terrifying.
they're on a real ass volcano, I think,
It's gotta be like a volcano or something.
it's
with steam
not-
vents and everything.
It is.
It's not
No.
solid rock, which is
No,
the
it is
scary
like-
part.
It is a steep
Not only
ass
is it, like-
incline, and it is very loose, like dirt and rocks.
I want to
And
say
this-
it's. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is the scene that we were referring to quite a while back that just made us
Yeah.
really anxious.
Like, it doesn't seem terrible if you just look at the foreground, because you're like, oh, it's like, realistically, probably like a 45 to 50 degree angle, and that's still pretty bad. But then, in the background, you see an entire
Yeah.
forest,
They're high up.
and you're just
They're
like,
up there.
oh, they.
And you see,
Yeah,
the
I was gonna say
dirt
the
slipping beneath their
foundation
feet.
is visibly shifting under their feet while they're doing
Mhm.
fight scene stunts.
It's like, and just like Squirtle gets up to his feet, and I don't think this is in the choreography because he just like trips over a bit
Yeah.
as he tries to get into the fight, and then they're jumping
Mhm.
around.
They're jumping, they're rolling.
there's a moment where
Ooh.
they like grapple on the ground for a moment, and like their trip down like terrified me as much as
Oh.
seeing Squirtle like tumble down the hill. That as Gopher just said, it looked like the actor had a hard time getting their bearings, and God, the shot just really looks like if they just fell like 10 feet further,
Yeah,
they would just plummet
like,
off of this
guaranteed
mountain into
death.
the forest hundreds of feet
It's-
below.
Like, okay, the only thing I can think of is that maybe they use some like perspective to hide, where the actual ledge is. Maybe there's like another dip and it's not as bad as we think. But like
Maybe
when they go to grapple each other, if you really do like look to the side, you said 10 feet, but I'm not even sure if it's that much. It's just
I'm trying to be generous because my depth perception is bad, but
it's just like
it doesn't look like a lot, does it?
if someone's if the person was standing up and then was pushed over just without any more movement, just pushed or laid down in that direction, I think they'd fall.
It's just terrifying. Thankfully, they only have like a shorter sequence on that horribly terrifying footing, and they go to some more
Solid
level
ground, yeah.
sturdy ground.
Which, I mean, still isn't great because you can still tell that it's like really high up. I will say, as far as just like, if you want a cool visual, this is a cool ass visual. This looks super dope. It's
Absolutely.
probably one of the coolest fight scenes in the show. But also, holy shit, is it terrifying.
Like, if this were a live stream, this is one of the times where I'd close the tab and check back in an hour because I don't want to see what
Yeah.
happens there. I'm just too anxious. The only reason why I wasn't freaking out is because this show is 50 years old and
Yeah,
there's more
exactly.
of it.
We know.
Like,
We already have
final episode
confirmed.
of Kamen right here. We had to keep
God.
it though. You can't. You use the take where the stuntman dies.
Yeah.
I understand the stuntman's honor, but I must admit it does feel terrible. Like, I have a hard time watching things where I know that people legitimately suffered during the production. Like, the fact that I've seen The Crow still sits really weird with me personally.
Yeah, that's...
And for anyone who isn't in the know, the actor who plays the main character died during the production of that movie during a stunt done
wow.
in that movie.
They legit did it.
jeez.
They legit did, and you know, they didn't use the footage
Sure.
of the actor's death, but you know, like, they died on set during a stunt. It wasn't like
Yeah.
like Star Trek with one of their actors recently passing away during the filming, but not on set. It's tragic, but like it's not like the production actually caused any suffering.
Yeah, there's I forget the film, but there's like a film set place in ancient Greece, and one of the actors they use the take, and you can see where he falls out of a chariot and just gets like trampled, and it's horrifying. But I'm just like,
oh my gosh,
I'm like, jeez, that's some of that stuff is the things stuntmen do for film is just incredible.
They're very brave people, and like I say this as someone who loves like a lot of violence and gore in my movies a lot of the time. It's very different to me. Knowing that anybody actually got hurt is just incredibly different. I can't stand it.
Like, just give me the bloodiest, goriest nonsense. But then if someone sprains their ankle, I'm like, oh no, that's so hard to watch.
It's weird. Like, I love horror movies. I love lots of slasher movies, but sometimes like it's a fantastic movie, but sometimes watching Little Shop of Horrors gets me a bit because I know that's really his finger. That's really his blood every time. And I'm like, ooh, dude, you shouldn't.
That fucking scene in Django, Leonardo DiCaprio. He smashes, he slams his fist on a table and breaks a glass, and his hands is bleeding for the rest of the scene.
Oh.
And that was
super real, and he just sort of like, I'm finishing it. Leonardo DiCaprio is crazy, man.
And like
big ups to Leo.
It's crazy, and like from an actor's perspective, I sort of understand where you're like, if I went this far, even on accident, it's gonna make the best take. I'm gonna make it the best take. Everybody, shut up. We're doing this.
I have similar feelings, and this is continuing to get more off topic, but I have similar feelings of Texas Chainsaw Massacre with just how the film was the reason why we have film unions.
Yeah.
That's all of a sudden.
It's a very fascinating story, but I won't get into it in detail. It's just the conditions were such that people were like, "Nah, we got to do this. Like, we can't do this anymore."
If you want to talk for 5 more hours, me and Fats are big fans of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of wrestling, Kamen Rider.
Speaking of wrestling, it's time to go to the finish.
They jump on to level ground for the finish.
Yeah.
And they wrestle a little bit, and the squirrel flies away.
Yeah, so flying, they fight for a little bit. They drop the briefcase. Flying Squirrel tries to fly away. He gets caught with an aerial rider kick from Kamen Rider, lands on the explosives, and like I said, this is the era of dioramas and toys, so we get a nice diorama of the mountain that they are fighting on, which fucking explodes.
Yeah,
and they leave
two
some
distinct
sparklers
explosions
going off on the top.
Yeah, 2 distinct explosions. The squirrel definitely explodes. And then you get a zoom out on the model, to a different scale, but looking farther away, and that one just gets an even bigger explosion.
Yeah,
as he lands on every kiloton of explosive material and detonates it.
Yep.
Bodies those explosives, and for whatever reason, immediately following that scene, we cut to what can sincerely only be described as 3 lost children on the mountain.
Children, did it.
I don't understand because they.
And it's in between the explosive shots. Also, I should specify, he lands on the case. They cut back. It explodes. 3 children enter the next shot, and they're excited. They're like, "Yeah, you did it!" And then we cut back to the mountain, and it explodes again.
The children along with it because
we cut back to the kids.
See them
no,
again.
They cut back. No,
we cut back to the kids.
We do. They cut immediately back.
And
they do a zigzag.
They look a little bit more sad, and then it cuts to them, and then it cuts to Tachibana, and then it cuts to the explosion again. It's just
because everyone immediately has the thought, is Kamen Rider okay? Including these children, presumably, because that's what Tachibana and crew are thinking.
I swear those children are mountain spirits.
maybe, I don't know, like, we talked about watching how presumably these were just children who were, like, interested in Kamen Rider, promised us an appearance on Kamen Rider for whatever
It's
reason
that
I
or
could not tell
producers'
you,
kids.
but
Yeah.
that possibly too, but, like, there is literally no contextual reason given for them being there. They don't have any supervision. They suddenly appear on the mountain to say, "Yay! Oh!"
It's
Yeah.
like Kamen Rider has been, despite its flaws, a pretty consistent show so far. With and it's gotten a lot better at its internal logic and keeping the plot going. Like we said, this episode is all over the fucking place, and that's the cherry on top of just like, what?
Yeah. Especially
Children.
because I'm watching it again, and the cut back to the kids, like, they don't. Not only do they not seem to have lines, but they don't seem to have any kind of direction. Like, they don't react to the explosion at all. They're just kind of standing there. It's like footage that they forgot to cut out in the edit.
One of them looks like they're laughing, smiling. One of them is looking into the camera. The other one is just kind of
one's
looking
just squinting
away.
off into the distance.
Why is that a shot?
And then we get
had to fill an extra
and
second.
then just to add a little bit of more weirdness onto our weird Sunday, we have the scene at the end with Tachi and the girls and Goro at the base of the mountain, and Goro's like, Kamen Rider's not dead, is he? And Tachibana, I think he doth protest too much, because he's like, no, Kamen Rider's not dead. Definitely not. There's no way he'd be dead. And the worst part is Goro, like, takes it at face value, but Tachibana looks like he's witnessed a murder. I'm looking back at this footage, and he looks like he's watched Kamen Rider die. And then the girls are like, yeah, no, he's definitely all right? He's gotta be. It's like, who are you trying to convince? And then I think
us, the audience, because we see him in like 2 minutes.
Do we?
Yeah, no, the end. No, the
I'm
ending. Yeah,
checking again.
Not even 2 minutes. The ending shot is him riding away on the motorcycle.
I was gonna say,
There's
yeah,
no
sure,
tension
it sure
in
is.
that regard. Kamen Rider's okay. He's just punked all his good friends.
We do, however, get a great line of, one of the girls goes, yes, I'm sure that he's all right. And then Tachibana kind of just looks over and goes, although, with idiots like you two around, I don't know how long that'll be the case. And they both kind of just look down sadly.
Local idiots cannot refute they are in fact idiots.
Yeah. It's...
Even the Kamen Rider might have a rough time.
I mean, God, this is
Glances
such a
to the floor.
weird-ass episode, now that I'm thinking about it. I mean...
We had a really good one and just a fucking nonsense bonkers one.
An absolute clown fiesta.
There is one thing at the end, though, where I think it goes back a little bit to maybe what we were speculating on and reflecting on with Hayato and Hongo's relationship. Might be more accurate than we might have initially thought, because for this Stinger episode, and Hayato Ichimonji renewed his pledge to fight Shocker. So it's like, okay, he pledged to, and he did it again, so he's renewed his pledge. But
yeah, this is it's a wild episode with a dumb villain and some really cool some real cool fight footage, and unfortunately really not too much else of merit to itself.
Like, that episode could have been the last 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and I'd be fine.
I guess that being said, as we go ahead and begin to wrap it up for this episode, does anyone have any kind of thoughts or questions or anything they want to kind of try and end it on?
This is the part where we edit in that earlier tangent and just put it here.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm
I-
joking.
I like the fact that it seems like the Rider Girls are gonna do something next episode.
our next time preview.
You see,
Next time preview was wild.
Even Hiromi.
yeah.
It's a 2-parter, I believe, too.
Yes, it is. So next time we're going to be working on episodes 24 and 25. Poisonous Monster.
It's a hell of a name.
Mushroom Morgue.
In English, we got Mushroom Morgue. In Japanese, we've got, let's see, the full title is Deadly Poison Monster. Kinoko Molg is what the wiki uses.
Kinoko
Sortie?
Sortie.
Modoku Kaijin Kinoko Morugu no Shutsugeki?
Yeah, that seems adequate translation.
Kinoko Morugu.
I apologize for that reaction. This was my first time ever seeing Mushroom Org. Wow.
Mushroom Morgue.
We are the Mushroom Morgue.
Truly Squirtle level.
Yeah, so Poisonous Mushroom Org attacks episode 24, and then Defeat Mushroom Org episode 25. We are going to be working on those episodes next time. Until then, we hope that you enjoyed the podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the episode. And we hope that you remember, as always, that if you can't believe in God and you can't believe in Buddha, you can always believe in Kamen Rider.